What's up, travelers? So it's Eliz, and this is my friend Catherine, who I'm staying with in London right now. Hope you guys all can hear us. Derek will be back in a little bit, but I thought it'd be fun to have her on to begin with and be able to talk to her about her life in London and all that. So thanks for being here, Catherine.
Of course.
You're welcome. All right, so basically just wanted to start off and say hi to everybody who is already on. Hey Ronnie Dove and Mary Ellen and Sue and Bonnie. What's up to all of you guys? Hopefully everybody can hear us and see us really well. But thanks to everybody for coming back, this week, and it's fun to hang out every Sunday. So, hey Laura of Musings at Midlife, great to see you. And she says, good morning from Minnesota. Just want to say, Catherine and I used to live in Chicago together. She was my roommate when I lived in Chicago right after I graduated from college, and she showed me all the ropes. So we're really pleased to have her here. And then Mary Ellen says hello. Baggy Tea is in the UK, I believe. So we're going to be talking about Catherine's life in the UK. I thought I would ask her a few questions, and hopefully you guys are into that idea. And then Derek will come back and he and I will talk to everybody about what we've been up to in London and in Portsmouth over this past week. So we're finally out of quarantine. Very excited about that. So, okay, let's just jump right in. And as people come in, hopefully you guys can tell us what you're interested in hearing, if you have any questions for Catherine as well. So, I guess, do you want to just tell us, how long you've been here, even though I know?
Yes. So I moved to London from Chicago, from the apartment that I lived in with Eliz 10 years ago. And I was not expecting to stay here for 10 years, but that's how it turned out. I am a dual citizen, so I'm an American citizen and a British citizen now.
Where are you originally from in the U.S.?
So I'm from Pennsylvania originally. And didn't necessarily expect to spend 10 years of my life living in London.
But here you are.
But here I am.
And I feel like you're basically British now.
Yes. Well, I am British.
I know.
I say things like bin instead of garbage can, lift instead of elevator, flat instead of apartment.
Yep. You proved that one just a little bit ago.
Yes.
And she actually is now a dual citizen too. So,
yes.
I'm actually pretty jealous of her. Just so everybody knows, I would love to be a dual citizen here. But yeah, that's super cool. So you've been here for 10 years. Where did you live all throughout London?
A few different places. So the way that I sort of got a foothold when I came over here was I really pumped my network, and I had, co-workers who had friends who lived here, or, things like that. And they would all send me emails with recommendations of how to find a place to live, how to open a bank account.
Yep.
That one's actually quite tough.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they treat you in each country, they treat you like you have no financial history at all. And they seem to think you're some sort of money laundering person.
Which she is not. She's actually an accountant.
Yeah, you need to have a specific way of opening a bank account. Especially if you're not sponsored by your company to come over here. So it's things like that you need to really navigate. But there's websites. So I did a flat share with a British girl.
Okay.
And there are websites to get flats for yourself. But there's also websites where you can do a flat share and just find a room in, an existing flat that's rented. So.
And it's not Craigslist, it's something else.
It's called Spare Room.
Okay.
Is that one.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then you were in Notting Hill, right, for that one? Or?
No. So my first flat, which I lived in for 2 years, was in Southwark. Okay. So near the Tower Bridge along the river there.
And for those of you who follow me and Derek on Instagram, that's right in the area that he and I stayed at earlier this week. So we have tons of photos from that area. It's really pretty.
Yeah, it was nice. I could walk across the London Bridge and go to work, and I worked near the St. Paul's Cathedral.
Nice.
So that was wonderful.
Can you imagine walking across the London Bridge every morning to go to work? I love that.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah.
I miss that. Then I moved out to Notting Hill, like the movie. And didn't live that far from the bookstore in the movie.
Aww.
Lived there for about a year.
I watched that movie with my friend Megan, who you guys might have seen was living with us this summer. It was her first time watching it. I was like, how have you never seen it?
I watched it for the first time like a couple years ago.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, I've lived there. I should probably watch this movie.
Wow. What did you think? Were you like, all that is... I mean, the neighborhood changed a lot.
Yes.
I feel, since the movie.
It was a very, sort of like Bridget Jones in Southwark. Like, it was, that movie came out, you know, at a time when that neighborhood was like much more up and coming, and now it's like already up and come. Yeah. So it's, you know, expensive and has fancy schools and such.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now the kids in the straw boater hats walking to school all the time. Yeah, and Bridget Jones lived not far from my first flat.
So you're just following the American movies.
Yes, but that was, you know, at that time that was like edgy area to live. Now it's, you know, developed.
Bridget Jones, if I'm remembering correctly, lived like across the street from Borough Market in the movie.
Yes. Yep.
That would be so expensive right now if you wanted to live there. My goodness. So where are we? Okay, wait, there's somewhere else that you moved that was another trendy neighborhood.
Yes.
And then we'll tell you where we are now. And then we'll read what you guys are all saying, because hello to everybody new, and we're gonna shout you all out really soon. But I'll finish with this. So you went from Notting Hill to
Shoreditch.
Okay.
So Shoreditch, I seem to have this habit of moving into neighborhoods that are in various stages of already having been edgy and like are kind of exiting the edgy phase into the, you know, expensive phase.
Yep.
So Shoreditch is in East London, and it's walkable to the city. So for a lot of people, it's very appealing, and it has lots of bars and restaurants. It's very trendy. Yeah. So really nice. Lots of street art.
And there's a lot of, just so you all know, there's a lot of hotels there now too. I don't know if there were like when you first moved to that neighborhood, but I feel like there's a lot of Airbnb and hotel options that are kind of that boutique-y feel now. Like not the Hiltons and the Hyatts of the world, but like the edgy ones.
That's a change. That's definitely a change. We didn't even have a grocery store. So we had the Marks and Spencers in you know, the train station, like 15 minutes walk away, but that was about it.
Wow, when you first moved in, yeah.
Yes. No, when we moved out as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. One time I was like having a friend over for brunch, and I went to go buy a grapefruit at some fruit stand and paid like £5 for it because there's just no options.
Wow, holy cow.
Yeah.
There's so many good restaurants over there though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mary Ellen, by the way, Derek says hi to you.
Hello.
And then where are we now?
So now we're in Greenwich.
As in the Greenwich Mean Time.
Yes, or I don't know, the Naval Academy for any history buffs out there. So there's, you know,
Thomas
lots of
Reiser, we're looking
sailors.
at you.
Yeah, lots of sailors stationed here learning how to sail.
Yeah.
Royally. Hopefully
still learning how to sail. Yeah, so this is a beautiful neighborhood, and you've been here now for about a year and a half. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is my second time visiting her here. I got to come last autumn before the pandemic.
Yep.
And now I'm really excited to be back and hanging out here, exploring Greenwich more, because I was only here for like a night last time. So if you guys have any questions for Catherine as we keep chatting with her just about her expat experience, whether it's like about, you know, fun things or travel things or anything like that, feel free to ask questions. We'll try to answer them as she's here. But I will say hi to everybody. So it looks like I've already said hi to Laura and Bonnie and Sue and Eric Brown. Good morning to you, Travel Adventures with Eric B. Lori Sims says good morning, and Mo, who's in Northern Ireland, says good morning to everybody. He says, "Hey everyone, sorry, I'll join later in an
At the moment.
IKEA at the moment." Woof. Okay, have fun with that. Maybe you won't be joining later because you just get trapped in those things. Yeah, Maggie T says yes. He's from England. I believe his name is Sam. Troy Stansel, morning or day to everyone. Yes. So I guess cheers. By the way, I'm drinking a cider already because it's 4:11 here. But I know for a lot of the people across the pond, it's still morning time. And I think that's Ellen Kim. Good morning to you. Thanks for joining again. So yeah, so for those of you guys who just joined, this is my friend Catherine. She and I used to be roommates about 10 years ago before she moved to London. So she's American just like me and has been an expat for 10 years here and lived in different places around the city. And is, yeah, like you're now a British citizen just as much as you're an American citizen. She's official. So, yeah, if you guys have any questions just about what their like cool restaurant recommendations are, hotel recommendations, anything, what it's like to be an expat. But I guess if I'll ask that question, what is it like to be an expat? I know that's like an open, vague question, but
well, you go through phases, right? So you start here, and I mean, this touches on, how do you meet people and all the rest. So I didn't know people when I came here.
Yep.
So, I mean, London is a place where historically lots of people from different countries have moved to. So there are other people who need to make friends the same as you.
Yeah.
So there's lots of activities, and it is easy to make friends if you put in that effort.
And you'd go watch like American sports.
Yes, we would go watch American football. I have kind of maybe two broad circles of friends, and one is the people from the Big Ten, the university football association, and then the other one is all the foreign people that I met at work.
Would you say that there's a pretty big population of expat Americans here?
Yes, but like I said, these things go in phases, right? So there's people who are sent for 2 or 3 years, on a rotation with their company, and they cycle in and out. Mm-hmm. So you can always tell someone who's like new to London, because they're sort of just starting to figure things out. And then a lot of them, they go home after 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. And if you sort of, there's inflection points, right? So if you get past that period of time, you start to become more localized, and then over time your friends sort of start to scatter a bit more and move back to wherever they came from. And eventually when you've been here for 10 years, you have like all these OG friends. It's like you've all been here for 10 years, and it's funny, but you tend to make friends with people who moved to London around the time as you did, because
that kind of makes sense.
You're in the same point in time in the cycle of discovering what London is all about.
I've never thought about it that way, but I feel like that's the way with a lot of cities. I would say that that's similar to my experience in New York too. That's cool. And so Catherine met her husband here.
Yes.
Who is also an American.
Yes.
And where did you meet him?
Yes. We met at a Big Ten event.
Very cool.
Go figure.
But they did not go to the same school.
That's correct. But I moved from Chicago to here to meet somebody that I ended up marrying that was from the Big Ten. So it's sort of funny that way.
But it worked out. And then Eric Brown is asking, so he says he missed the beginning, how did you become an expat? And so...
That's the tough part.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Because you were interested in doing it.
Yes, I was very actively looking for an opportunity over here. At least, up to this point, going forward with Brexit, these things might change, and I don't know exactly how. But historically, because there was open borders with Europe, and there was also, some visa programs with other Commonwealth countries like Australia. It was relatively harder to come over as an American unless you were sponsored by your company. And I was...
It probably still would be that case for sure.
Yeah, well, yeah, at a certain age, right? Because I was, like mid-20s at that time.
Yeah.
So, because you have to, anytime you're an expat, they have to post the job and they have to interview people and they have to prove, basically, they need to be able to justify that a local person was not found to do the job. So, like, when you're younger, it's a bit harder to sort of justify that.
That makes sense.
So the trouble is, at least 10 years ago, was finding an employer who would sponsor you. And it was actually quite sad because I found a place that I could work that would hire me, but then they were slow in doing the paperwork. And I just missed the cutoff for getting what was called a Tier 1 visa, which means, you're able to stay on your own merit based on your age, your level of education. I was actually had to have a job, and if I didn't have a job, I was like out of the country within 30 days. Yeah. So I did switch jobs one time while I was still in that scenario, and they just transfer your certificate.
Okay, but you probably have to work with your new company to make it happen quickly, right?
Yeah, well, you don't lose your old one until your new one is... Okay. But if you ever got, made redundant or lost your job for some reason, then you just have to go back. Interesting.
So I think, just to clarify a few other questions, it was, did you move specifically for a job? And you were pretty actively seeking one here, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I lived with her at the time, so.
I moved specifically for a job, and I work in finance, so I'm an accountant, and I worked for an international policy organization, and that's sort of the rationale for how I was able to come as a foreigner, because, they, as an international organization, they look for an international staff base. Yeah. So that was sort of
They basically have to recruit expats in order to have a well-rounded...
Yes, exactly.
...board. But you were looking at all different types of positions.
So the problem that I was running into at that point in time is, I was working at a professional services firm, and they don't typically send you until you're older and more experienced. And I was like, well, I'm young, I don't know what's going to happen in my life. I want to go now.
Right.
And so that was sort of the challenge, because a lot of times if your company's going to send you, they sort of send you maybe too late in your life. So
later than you'd prefer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. And so then so you answered what industry that you're in. A lot of people are saying hi, and hello to Gallivanting Gals, and to Mr. Means to Travel. Welcome. Welcome from the other room. Hey, Klaus. There's anyone else. Oh, Gareth. Hey, how's it going? So just, if anyone else is new, this is my friend Catherine. She's an American expat living in London for the past 10 years, and I thought it'd be really fun, as Derek and I are staying with her and her husband this weekend, to just have her on the show real quick and talk about her experience as an expat. So if you guys have questions for her, just about expat life, whether it's the fun things or we've been talking a little bit more about the work related part of it, definitely shout them out. She's probably going to be on for a few more minutes. Then we'll have Derek on later too. So yeah, questions come our way. Okay, so I just want to make sure I didn't miss one. So Bonnie's asking, Catherine, are you a dual citizen because of your mother or father or grandparents, or were I'll let you answer why you're a dual citizen.
I am a dual citizen from having lived and worked here for long enough. So if you have, assuming you have a qualifying visa type, not a diplomatic visa, after 5 years you can apply for basically the equivalent of a green card, and after 6 years, the next step is you can apply for citizenship. Yeah. So that's why I'm a citizen.
And so you and your husband both did it at the same time?
No, because he moved here 7 months earlier than me, something like that. Yeah. So he was a bit earlier, and I also couldn't be bothered to fill out the paperwork right away.
Couldn't be bothered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I
Nice.
am British.
Yeah, you nailed that one. But then they said you said you couldn't be bothered. They were like, all right, she's in.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but you.
And they do make you stand up and sing.
Do they really?
Yes. You have to stand up in the town hall with all the other people and sing
Are
God
you
Save the
joking?
Queen.
Are
No,
you-
I'm not joking. There's like you and maybe like 20 other people from all these different countries, and you have to sing God Save the Queen.
Wowie zowie. Okay, well, Catherine must have done that well, but we won't ask her to do that today.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the follow-up I wanted to ask to that is, so you, at the time, I remember you were saying there's all these benefits to becoming, a British citizen, and I can't remember if this was before or after Brexit, but like, if you're a traveler, you now have an extra passport, basically, right?
Yes.
So
Yes, exactly.
what's kind of the cool thing about that?
So, I mean, just different countries have different visa rules. So, for example, a lot of Latin American countries, because the U.S. charges them money when they come into the U.S., they charge money to American citizens when they go there.
Yeah.
So, like, if you go to certain countries in South America, with a British passport, you don't have to pay.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you don't have to actually apply for a special visa at the consulate or something.
Mm-hmm.
But that's pretty, you need to look up the rules of wherever you're going.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
But like, somebody just joined from Spain. Hello, Ava. And then so Ava, if you went to Spain, for example, from Britain, then you could like go through basically the EU line as of.
Oh yes.
Right
Well,
now,
so yes. I mean, previously, another benefit of having a British passport was, it's also a toehold into the other countries in the EU, and you're free to live and work either now or after you retire, whatever.
Yeah.
By virtue of having a British passport. Now, that's not going to be true anymore.
Yeah.
So.
But
I mean,
it is what it is.
Yeah, I live here. I've lived here for 10 years. Like,
Yeah. So I feel like we've got a few more questions that I'm missing. I know that Derek asked one.
I saw one about
That
how
was
do you
funny.
vote from England in the U.S. elections, and that is by post, by mail.
Yeah. So yours is a little bit different of a scenario than mine is because you're an official resident here.
Oh, right.
They mailed it to you, right? Or they will?
They are going to, yeah.
Yeah. I know somebody else who's living in Germany who already received her absentee ballot, but I'm sure it's based on like what state is mailing them out and stuff like that too. So you have not received yours yet, right?
No, I called them last week and they said they haven't released them yet. So
Yeah.
I should get it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know that like in Illinois they just sent the ballots this week too. But Derek and I are having to coordinate a little bit stronger.
Yeah.
But we're gonna make it happen. And then Derek asks, question for the esteemed guest from Greenwich: what is your favorite sticky toffee pudding place?
That is a hard question.
Is it? All right, let's hear.
There have been so many good ones. It's hard to pick just one.
Okay, maybe top 5.
Allowed. There was a
a
place in Shoreditch,
Okay.
which was called, what was it called? Poppy's,
Mm-hmm.
and they had fish and chips. It was like a 50s, like the equivalent of a 50s diner, but with fish and chips.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually where we went with Andrea, our other
Oh,
roommate from
really?
Chicago. And
Did you guys get the sticky toffee pudding?
yes, we did, because we were
Nice.
like, this is something that you need to sample, and it's very like the kind that your gran would have made, as they would say here.
Okay. Gran or nan? I feel like I hear both.
It is both.
Okay.
I think nan might be a little bit more of like an East London thing,
Okay.
but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
I'm sure some of the British people can
Are
correct
we
me.
technically in East London right now? Or would this be like not considered?
Yes.
Are we too south to be East London?
I mean, yeah, it is East London, and I mean, we're near Deptford, which is East London-ish,
Okay.
but we are south of the river,
Yeah.
so some people view that as fundamentally different.
It might depend on who you ask.
Yes.
Okay, got it. All right, so let me make sure I haven't missed any other questions coming in. And if you guys have questions for Catherine about her recommendations for anything from sticky toffee pudding to anything else, let us know. All right, so Mary Ellen says, "Cool, I'm in finance too, but in the insurance industry. Awesome."
That's cool.
And yeah, Derek's in finance as well.
Yeah, if you want to be an expat in London, a good first step is to work in finance.
Yeah, I actually have noticed that as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are some other expats, but finance companies like to sponsor people more than a lot of other industries.
There are.
Maybe tech. Would tech kind of
I
people
have
over?
met some people who worked at Google.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend who worked at Google, actually.
Okay.
Years ago. And I had a friend who worked in the hotel industry. Yeah, there's a bit of everything, but mostly finance.
Yeah. All right, and Nick P just joined. Hey Nick, and Nick Traveling with Nick P says, "Who's the guest?" So this is my friend Catherine. She and I used to be roommates in Chicago about 10 years ago before I moved to New York, and she moved to London around the same time. And so she's been in London now for 10 years. And recently became a dual citizen even, and I had her on because we're staying with her and her husband this weekend, and thought it'd be fun for all of you fellow travelers to ask any questions that you want from a London local, or if you are curious about expat life or anything like that. So shout out any questions that you guys have for sure. And then Eric says, "I would love to live in the EU because it's easy to access so many other countries."
That is accurate.
Totally.
And they have cheap flights as well, like EasyJet or Ryanair. I mean, at the moment,
yeah,
maybe a bit different.
Several of those like smaller airlines I feel like have gone under during the pandemic. Not too many, but like a couple.
It's possible. I haven't been on a flight in a while.
Yeah.
But,
Here's a question. Where's your Madonna like British accent? No, she's definitely keeping that American accent.
Yeah. That's
What do people like? I've always been told that Brits hate when people try to imitate their accent. Is that accurate?
I don't know. I've never heard that.
Okay. Hey Ronnie. Welcome to you. And okay, so
we sort of mutually laugh at the way the other person talks at times. Things like the way you say the word naughty. They think it's really funny, and they're like, "Naughty." And I think it's pretty funny. Things like that.
Yep, that's. I feel like they say it funny. They think we do.
Yes.
Interesting. Now I'm learning stuff. And then Kim K says, "What sites do you recommend for someone who wants to experience a more local feel of London? We've hit the big sites, parks and museums now."
Oh yes, that's a good question actually, because I do think if I was gonna tell someone, 10 cities to go to like see the sights, London. I mean, the thing that's nice about London is it's a very major metropolitan city with people from all over the world, a good local culture, and lots of access to other cuisines as well, but it's just the lifestyle and the culture and the things to do. So like going to the park on a nice day with a blanket and having a nice picnic, getting some convenience food from Marks and Spencer's would be a very British thing to do.
Oh my gosh, I just did that.
Yes.
I'm assimilating.
Yes. Going to a food market, or trying to find some sort of off the beaten path, like pub crawl or something near where you're staying. Something like that would be more like what a local person
I'm not
would
sure
do.
if they're doing too many pub crawls right now.
No, probably
but I'm
not.
sure
Maybe.
like literally the day after the pandemic ends, they'll start back up again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be super fun. Are there any parks in particular that you like better than others for that kind of thing?
Well, I mean, living in Greenwich, I like Greenwich Park a lot. It is,
Oh my gosh,
what's
we
nice
went for the first time. Me and Derek went with them for the first time yesterday. Beautiful.
What's nice about Greenwich Park is it's hilly, and there's like lots of little bits and pieces of woods, because historically this was like the hunting grounds for the royalty Henry VIII used to go hunting in Greenwich Park, apparently. And so it's like a really nice area. Lots of different flower beds and tree areas, and you can kind of get lost. And you climb up the hill, and you saw it, right? At the top of the hill, there's this beautiful view of Canary Wharf and the city. Just really, really nice. You're just like looking down over the river and Canary Wharf in the city. It's really nice.
And we were there when it was a little bit of a rainy day yesterday, but do people go and take picnics there on nice days and stuff?
Yes, it's especially this year. It's been very crowded.
That makes sense.
But what's really nice about it is there are tourists, but the tourists are mostly very concentrated on getting up to the Prime Meridian, and like the rest of the park is very local. You'll see kids running around and teenagers, hanging out, and people running, and it's very very local in that sense. And there's lots of really cool pubs here. So like doing a pub crawl in Greenwich would be fun.
Yeah, I'm sure that would. There's so many cool looking ones, like literally right as you get off the ferry and over by the Cutty Sark and stuff. I wish we could go to them.
Yeah.
They're open. It's just we also have a little Catherine's daughter that we're hanging out with, so we wouldn't be taking her to any of those. And then, so I saw that Scorpio Sue was asking, what do you miss from the U.S.?
Oh, that's a good question. To be honest, at this point, I've assimilated so much. Ziploc bags. They don't really have those here.
I've gotten like Marks and Spencer's brand bags, but they definitely don't.
They're just not as good.
Yeah, they don't feel as good.
Yeah, Ziploc bags.
You have the most practical answer. I love it. Okay. Anything else?
It's hard to answer a question like that off the top of your head. That's the latest thing where I was like, oh, I haven't had family coming this year. I need more Ziploc bags.
Right. Yeah, is there any food that you miss being able to have?
When I go visit my sister in New York, I always like to go to a deli and get a nice corned beef sandwich or something.
That makes sense.
Mexican food. Although I've sort of learned to cook some of that.
Yeah, she's been cooking so well over quarantine. I mean, you've been trying all these new recipes and stuff too, right?
Yeah, it's basically just trying to keep yourself sane by doing something you need to eat anyways. Yeah,
she's the one that taught me to order from Ocado. So
yes.
You're like an Ocado
I am actually a devoted customer. So when the pandemic first started, people were hoarding food and it was impossible to get delivery slots and whatever. And I got priority on Ocado. Even I couldn't get a slot for a while. But for a while, they were like, because you've been a loyal customer for, I don't know, so many years, you get priority.
Nice. That's so nice of them. They know what to do in terms of customer service, that's for sure. Gareth agrees with you about the way people say naughty and laughing about it.
From the other side.
Nick B says, my favorite pub in London is the Mayflower pub on the River Thames. It's where the Mayflower was loaded before its departure 400 years ago last month. I ate there last year and signed the Descendant book they have for Mayflower descendants. That is so neat. Have you been there?
No, I don't know where it is.
I don't know where it is either. What are some of your favorite pubs though that you have around the city?
There's so many.
Any of them?
It sort of depends where you are. I think my favorite pub experience overall is England has amazing walking trails in the countryside, and you definitely need to have nice real hiking boots, and maybe some waterproof gear because it might be raining a bit.
I would definitely say definitely some waterproof gear.
Yes.
Because you don't want to get rained on and then you're cold the whole day.
And they have because they have the farmers will have big fields, but they have a right of way through their property. It's not something that would really exist in America.
Yeah.
I don't think, but you can just walk on these paths through these like fields, past the sheep, and it's really nice through the forests. And
Nice.
then you find somewhere about halfway through the hike like a nice pub, and you go in, and I mean pre-pandemic, right? You go in and there's like some older people with their dog like curled up at their feet, and some family with their baby, and it's just, you're really hungry, so the food tastes extra good. That's definitely the best the best experience. And even in the pandemic, when we go out to the countryside, like they have picnic tables outside, and because it's in London, nowhere has space, right? But the pubs in the country have like a big garden with lots of picnic tables, so you can still go out to eat.
That's nice.
If you want to be outside.
I'll have to do that when we're exploring the country soon.
It's not too cold, but yeah.
Yeah, they probably don't have like heat lamps as much.
Maybe. I don't know.
We'll see. Maybe they've like invested in it since the pandemic. And then Nick P says the Mayflower pub is in
Rotherhithe. Oh, right.
I'm glad you knew how to say that. I was butchering it. Where is that?
That is like in one of the U parts of the river.
Okay, like closer to Kensington?
No, like near Canada Water. So here-ish, but not here.
Okay.
It's
Because
hard to
Canada Wharf
explain
is
it.
a lot closer to here.
Yeah.
Travel Adventures with Eric B. Okay, sorry, I'm missing. Okay, they leave all their bread out in the open, and I'm always like, no, maybe they don't have flies like we do. I don't know if you're talking about the Brits.
Oh, yeah. Are we talking about how bugs get in the window if you leave them open?
Probably.
Yes, they don't know about screens. I don't know if Gareth can comment on that, but in America we have these like fine mesh screens in our windows that keep the bugs out.
Yeah.
They're great. That is something else I miss about America. Window screens.
Yeah. And you also were saying earlier that like sometimes you'll go get ice cream here and the cones will be like out, so that way.
Yeah, in Cornwall, they'd be wearing like face shields and masks and all this like dots on the floor for where you can go, and then like the cones are just sitting next to where everyone's like, oh.
Like, I'll have it in a cup, please.
Yes, I'll have a cup, please.
Well, you can't perfect everything, I suppose. Alright, Kim M says, what sites do you... Oh, no, I already read that one. Am I missing anybody's questions?
What's the hardest adjustment you had to make culturally? That is an interesting question. I think, really probably in a work context. The British work culture is different from the American work culture. Things here, on average, happen a bit more slowly, and people take a little bit more of like, depending on your perspective, lax/balanced approach to work and life.
Okay.
And when someone tells you they'll do something in due course, that means they're not doing it for a month.
Yep.
And that takes some getting used to. But it's,
Do you have to negotiate if with that?
Yes, you have to find a way to get them to do something, basically. And that's, that is a skill.
Yep.
But the knife cuts both ways, right? Because I can be a little bit more, I'm currently working in an American-based company, and you can tell the difference between the two offices, because we're a bit more relaxed, and the Americans are like, oh, I worked all night on something and something. And I'm like, just because somebody asked you to do it today doesn't mean you should do it today.
Yeah, that would be an adjustment for some Americans, that's for sure. Mary Ellen says, very definitely, Catherine, on the work culture, yeah. How long do you feel like it took you to like really understand all those things in the workplace? Like all those nuances?
Well, my first job was an international organization, so that was a cultural experience in its own way.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the people I worked with didn't speak English as a first language. And also you're dealing with people from all different sorts of cultures working together in sort of a stressful environment.
Yeah.
So all your little quirks and your misunderstandings, are under this pressure situation. So you did finally, like, I worked with a couple Germans, and they were, at first I was like, oh, you're a bit brusque. But then, we became friends because I was like, oh, they're just like that. And I think they sort of learn that, when you go up to the American, you're like, oh, hey, how are you? Mm-hmm. Do this.
Let's not beat around the bush here. Yeah, she's saying trying to get them to do something can be difficult.
How does Mary Ellen work with British people?
Yeah, so I think she was saying that she works in finance too, and yeah, she's worked with a bunch of British people. Yeah. So, oh man, I was just gonna ask you another question. What about, like, did you start any, like, tea culture in the office or anything that you didn't do in the U.S.?
I am a participant in tea culture, so, I learned this mostly from having a British flatmate, first of all.
Okay.
If a British person offers you a cup of tea, you say, yes, thank you. You do not say, oh, I would not like a cup of tea.
Okay.
That's okay.
Is that, like, offensive?
It's just, I don't know if it's offensive. It's just more polite to accept. Okay. Because it's one of their rituals. Mm-hmm. So it's just something that you should generally just do. And then at some workplaces, you're generally, the more British it is, the more this happens. Mm-hmm. Someone will go around in the afternoon and be like, do you want a tea? Do you want a tea? And you sort of take turns doing it, and you bring back, like, you're trying to carry, like, 6 tea mugs.
Like you have, like, T-Rex arms, but
yeah.
6 tea mugs. I really felt the finger strength there.
Yeah.
Then does everyone take their tea differently too? So you have to know, like, oh, well, Joe likes his with, like, milk and...
They're generally all the same.
Okay.
Really sort of milky and sweet.
Like, everybody just likes the same kind? Pretty
much, yeah.
Okay. Do you like what they like?
I do now. I used to drink tea black more, but now I will drink it milky and sweet.
Okay.
Not like green tea or something, but, black.
Yeah.
English tea.
Like the English breakfast tea or whatever.
My favorite is Earl Grey, actually.
Yeah.
For
do people
some
do
reason.
Earl Grey more here than English breakfast?
No.
Or?
Typically, yeah. Like, English breakfast would be what some British people would call normal tea. Like, I served someone Earl Grey tea when they came over to my house, and they were like, do you have any normal tea? And I was like, I'm American. I have tea.
Right. Derek and I actually had this question earlier this summer. So English muffins, like Thomas's English muffins.
They're muffins.
They're just muffins here.
Yes.
But you also can go to a Starbucks and get like a blueberry muffin, and it's still also a muffin. So are they both called muffins? But
you would always assume if someone talks about a muffin that it would be an English muffin.
Okay.
They also are not cut. We're talking about cut versus uncut bread.
Right.
Because bread without preservatives in it, stays nicer if it's not cut. Yeah. So if you buy even like a hamburger bun, you have to cut it yourself.
Yeah. Derek and I have had to do a lot of that since we got here. I've cut a loaf of bread, I've cut a hamburger bun. Do you have to cut like a hot dog bun? Do those come
I don't know. I don't know if I've ever bought a hot dog bun.
I mean, fair. What do you do on 4th of July? By the way, do you celebrate 4th of July just like among your family?
Most years I've actually been on vacation because all my American friends have off, so we would rent the catamaran, like I was telling you, and go sailing around the Mediterranean
So she rented a catamaran and went sailing around
5 times.
Turkey for...
Croatia twice, Greece twice, and Turkey once.
So cool.
Yeah, that is the way to travel if you don't mind, a shower like this.
Yeah. You said it's like a shower over a toilet, right?
Yes, the hose off treatment, and no electricity.
Right.
Also.
So you can't charge your phone or anything. So Nick says I wasn't surprised by the English could easily pick up my American accent. My flight from London Heathrow to Newark was on Virgin Atlantic. It was sweet English style experience flying home to America. That is cool. I've actually never flown Virgin. Because
Me neither.
when I fly like Delta Alliance, I always fly a Delta body plane. Which ones like do you typically take home? American or
Whatever is cheapest on kayak.
okay. And it's never been Virgin, I guess.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, you guys are also usually going to like all different types of airports too.
But in answer to your question, so the one celebration of 4th of July that I used to do, my old work was at the International Place.
Yeah.
And all the people they would do like a party for their National Day. And all the Americans got together and we like screened like a baseball game on the big screen. And we had a bunch of American flag decorations and we all made food. So I made like chocolate chip cookies and apple pie and someone brought in a George Foreman grill and did little hot dogs and all the Germans were around like being like, I like these sausages. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a good party.
Did people like literally try apple pie for the first time on that day?
Yes.
So
and I made all these little like sign cards that explained like the cultural significance of the food.
Shut up. So what did you say for chocolate chip cookies?
I don't know. There's something that your parents bake for you when you're growing up, and you drink it with a glass of milk, and it's like a fun childhood memory, something like that.
I've never really thought about having to like explain American food because I'm so American, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, it makes total sense. You'd have to be like, apple pie.
Yes.
This is a heartwarming tradition.
Yes.
And you've been cooking a few British things before. So when we first got here, we asked Catherine what a cottage pie is because Derek and I had seen it written out and we'd never ordered one before, didn't know what it was. And so you were like, yeah, it's really like time consuming to bake, I believe. But I feel like you've tried all these British meals now.
I've never had cottage pie myself. I made cottage pie for my child.
Yes, yeah. But you've made a bunch of other like British foods too, it sounded like.
Pork roast with crackling.
Mm-hmm.
And crackling is like when you dry brine and salt the skin, and then it gets really crispy when you put it in the oven the next day. So it's like a crunchy piece on the outside of the pork.
Which I didn't even know what it was. She had to explain that to me, so hopefully I wasn't the only person who didn't know.
English style roast potatoes, which are delicious.
Yeah.
Which is when you dredge them, parboil them, dredge them in flour, and then fry them in just hot fat in the oven. Not like deep fry, but roast them. That's like the British style. I need to make Yorkshire puddings. That's my next goal for this winter.
What are those again?
So Yorkshire puddings is it's like a dough. It's like a batter, and you put it in like a cupcake tin. So you put in like hot beef fat into the oven, and when it's really hot, you pour in, it's sort of like a pancake batter, and it puffs up, and it becomes like this hollow vehicle for gravy, basically.
Fascinating. So
you've had them. You must have.
I don't think I have. I know it's crazy.
You've had a roast dinner, right?
I've had one roast dinner. Because I mean, I didn't live I didn't live with a family or anything.
But something to do in England is to have a roast dinner at a pub.
I know.
On Sundays.
I've failed. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. This is pretty amazing to me. You've been here so many times.
I know. I've never prioritized a roast dinner before. I know it's like you walk by every pub here and it says like, we serve Sunday roast.
Yes.
And I just haven't.
It's a very cultural, thing.
I'm cooking salmon tonight. It's not necessarily a roast. I guess Derek, who's in the other room, maybe we should go get a roast dinner next weekend or something in Fort Smith.
Yeah.
Derek says, duck fat potatoes. And then Garrett says, Yorkshire puddings make a roast dinner. Okay, you guys.
I agree. I agree with that.
Let's help me assimilate further, and I'll go next week. Kim says, have you explored the canals? I don't know what the canals are. Do you know
the ones sort of north of here, like by Camden and well, they go far east as well.
Yeah.
Sort of. There's some places to go along there. I've been out to a few restaurants. There's some cool little galleries and shops. I mean, I haven't hung out there a lot, but yeah, it is a fun thing to do in London. That's off the tourist track, I would say.
Yeah. So hey, Graham. Graham's in the Midlands, and he's saying he's having a roast dinner tonight.
Nice.
So Graham, Derek and I are gonna have to get out to roast dinner for sure. And then Mary Ellen said roast dinner is another thing for the list, and Derek's added it to our checklist. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have even known to order a Yorkshire pudding. Like
it comes with it. It comes with it.
Okay. So you go to a pub and you say, I just want the full Monty.
It'll be like, you know, you'll have a choice between like beef, ham, and chicken or something. Okay. That's it. And then it'll come with carrots and some green vegetable, maybe carrots and peas. The roast potatoes, like I said, fried in the fat, the crispy ones. Yorkshire pudding, gravy.
What time do you go and start eating?
All day.
All day.
So,
okay.
I mean, as long as it's at least lunchtime. So lunch to dinner.
Okay.
And if you wanted to get something else that day, you were out of luck because that's all they serve.
No fish and chips.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So does like every person who cooks at a pub like need to know how to make a roast dinner?
Yes.
Like that's part of the job description.
I think so. Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
But it'd be like growing up in America and not knowing how to like, I don't know, make a Thanksgiving turkey or something.
I have
it's
no
just something
idea
that
how to make a Thanksgiving turkey.
Okay.
By the way, everyone knows it. Catherine is a very good cook, and when we lived together, she was ashamed for me because I have no idea how to cook.
Well, you were young, right?
Yeah.
You were just out of college, and
yeah.
I said, apparently, I don't remember this, but you said to me that I said to you, Eliz, you need to be able to cook at least one decent meal for other people.
Yep.
But,
so I learned how to cook salmon, and now I'm making salmon tonight.
Yeah.
Tried and true.
Closing the circle.
Well, Graham, let us know if you are getting, what is it, beef, chicken, or you say turkey? What are the choices for the roast?
Whatever they have.
Okay.
But it would be like several different meats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would it ever be like a weird meat, like a rabbit or something?
I don't think so. I mean, pubs do serve that stuff, particularly in the fall.
Yeah.
Because that's more of like the game season.
Okay.
And certainly if you went up to Norfolk, they would.
Okay.
We saw so many wild birds, like turkeys and pheasants and such.
When you were up there? So they just went up to Norfolk, which is kind of the east part of the country that like juts out a little bit, right? It's
really beautiful. I guess one of my other recommendations for London is to leave London. The English countryside is really nice. There's like the pubs and the walking trails, like I said.
Yeah.
And they have lots of National Trust properties, so like old manor houses and things like that. And Norfolk has like these old, like they're these palatial houses, like really beautiful, with these nice gardens, like, you know, the walled gardens, like, you know, being in the secret garden, basically.
Do you guys have a National Trust pass?
No, but we've been pestered about it many times. We don't quite, maybe this year we would have done.
Yeah.
But historically we didn't do quite enough of that stuff in the UK to justify it.
Yeah. I feel like it costs like, I want to say £120 maybe for a pass, and then you can go into the different like palatial homes and stuff like that she's describing.
Something that is unusual. So you know how people always want to go to the lavender fields, right?
Yes.
In France, and so the south of France is crowded and very expensive and crowded. But there are absolutely beautiful lavender fields in the Cotswolds.
Oh, cool.
Which is a place in the countryside, a nice place in the countryside.
2 hours from London?
2 hours from West London. Anywhere you go outside of London, it definitely makes a big difference which side of London you're staying on. You know, how long it takes. Like, out here east, going to Kent or Sussex or Norfolk or something, because those are east, makes more sense. Whereas if you're west, like the Cotswolds or Bath or something like
I love Bath. It's so beautiful. I want to circle back to the roast dinners because we're getting some suggestions here. Baggy T says jam roly-poly is also a lovely dessert. Have you had that?
Would that be like a roulade?
I have no idea.
I think that's like it's like a cake with jam and cream, and it's rolled up. They do it on the Great British Bake Off, which, do you have that show in America?
We do have it, and everyone loves it, and I've never watched it.
It's like a cultural institution. That's something, like, everyone from, like, you know, the plumber to, like, you know, the grandma, you know, everybody, a very broad variety of people watch that. People that, you know, like, even, like, you know, the frattiest people you could think of. They were like, oh, did you watch Bake Off last night?
Bake Off!
Exactly. Yeah.
Especially in the absence of sports right now, I'm sure everyone's binging it.
They normally put it on in the fall, so I don't know if they have another season.
Okay.
Maybe.
Well, let us know if any of you guys know. Is Bake Off on this fall? Autumn. Graham says, talk about bread sauce.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. I feel like all these people are making us feel a little bit unknowledgeable about this. Hey, Thomas Reiser, by the way, welcome. No worries about falling asleep, I suppose. And then Kim says roast dinner is big in Canada too. We find all sorts of excuses for Yorkshire pudding. Man, guys, you're making me feel like I need to get up to speed. And then Baggy T says another must-have is toad in a hole.
Is that's the one that's like a sausage in a Yorkshire pudding?
Yeah, so I think that's what they say later. I can't find it.
I haven't had that one. I like gravy.
And then Graham says he's having chicken for his roast tonight with pots, parsnips, stuffing, carrots, greens, no Yorkshire, so. What are pots?
Potatoes.
I like just realized as you answered. And then cool nickname for that. Mo says he's back. He's out of the IKEA line. Yeah, that can be brutal, especially on the weekends. Gareth says if you join the National Trust, it's cheaper to join the Scottish National Trust, which also gives you free entry to Welsh, English, and Northern Irish sites. Ooh, pro tip.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Does it give you all the same entry? It's just cheaper?
I obviously am not the one to ask that question.
I'll have to research this because Derek and I are probably in market.
Yeah.
And then
you will break even on that.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, I think we could. Especially with like two of us and and then Mo's saying OFC got some treats too. Oh, of course, for the Swedish meatballs. Bought loads of kitchen equipment. Nice. Our Airbnb has all the IKEA kitchen equipment and stuff. Just like I think I was joking months and months ago that I've never stayed at an Airbnb in Europe that doesn't have IKEA stuff. It's like always the exact same everywhere I go. And then Mo's saying it was really busy, but seeing furniture is therapeutic. Nice.
What about English heritage?
English heritage? Is that different from the National Trust?
Yeah, it's like one of those.
Derek, come over here. You can sit on the back or something. Bake Off is on now, 2 episodes in.
Oh,
You're
right.
behind.
Well, now they have those, iPlayer things, and it's not like I'm seeing my work colleagues anymore and be like, "Oh, how's Bake Off? Oh, did you watch Bake Off?"
That's true.
Because
it's not a water cooler moment.
I don't see anyone anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apart from Zoom.
Yeah. So I guess let's explain that to people. So, because some people are going back into the office here in London, but your particular company, everyone's working from home now, right?
Yes. So the government, not everyone, about 2/3-ish.
Okay.
The UK government was starting to encourage people to go back to work, people who were able to work from home. But then they changed their guidance a few weeks ago. So
like right before Derek and I got here.
Yeah. So basically they've asked people to continue to work from home, for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. And then your husband's also working from home. So
Yes.
you guys, they're all hanging out together.
Yes. Yes.
But I mean, that's the kind of the case in America too. A lot of people are working from home these days.
Well, it just depends where you live and where you work. Like the transport networks in London can't handle everyone to commute. So
Yeah.
you're sort of better off not everybody using the trains, and then the NHS, the health workers, and the people who need to go physically to work can do so
Right.
in a safe fashion.
Right. And then are daycares and stuff open? And
Yes.
schools? Okay.
Yes. So that's the main difference, really, is those are open. Yeah.
Yeah. Mary Ellen's saying our London office opened for office opening pushed back. I think they're looking at the middle of October at the earliest now. Yeah, so Derek and I stayed in central London on Thursday, and there was like nobody walking around. Like normally you would see all the office workers during lunchtime and during the commute home, and it was very empty. So that was an interesting change. For
Well,
sure.
yeah, and one of our friends who works with the universities, she was saying that like rents have gone dramatically down in central London right now.
Yeah, she was quoting that rents in central London are down like 40% in certain places, which was crazy.
Not my rent.
Yeah. Not in Greenwich. And it might be like for like smaller apartments too, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Well, is out here, is this kind of, considered a good middle ground in terms of getting out of the congested city
Yes.
and being a little bit more suburban without being suburban?
Yes. It's very attractive for anyone who works in Canary Wharf.
Yeah, that too. Because
Well, 'cause you
all
can
you have
walk.
to do is walk
Yes.
under. They have like a little tunnel that
Yep.
goes under the Thames from here. And then somebody. Okay, so Garrett's saying English heritage is good, better for castles though, and perhaps for abbeys. National Trust is better for stately homes and outdoor spaces like parklands, woodlands,
Oh.
etc.
I like a good castle. We joined
Okay.
English Heritage, so we have that.
Yeah.
Now we need to, I guess, join the Scottish Trust. So.
Yeah. And yeah, thanks Laura and These Things at Midlife. Thanks for giving a thumbs up. And for any of you guys who have also liked this video already, thank you so much. If you haven't, definitely give that a like. So that way YouTube knows that this is a fun one.
So real quick, I'm drinking a beer that is a
Here, you
local.
wanna hold it up?
It's a local Greenwich brewery called Meantime, which is a great name.
Like Greenwich
Like
Mean
Greenwich
Time.
Mean Time.
Yes.
And
Oh
it
my
was founded in
gosh.
1999 by a dude whose first name was Alistair, which is
So
awesome
British.
name, most British first name ever. And yeah, this is pretty good. This is a chocolate porter, 6.5% alcohol. It's very tasty. It's very chocolatey and rich.
Nice.
So
So it actually tastes like chocolate?
no
It just has like chocolate essence?
undertones.
Undertones?
Notes. They say it's made from 5 different dark malts. So yummy.
So Derek and I went and got fish and
Do you like
chips
porters?
at what's supposed to be the best fish and chips place in Greenwich
I'll
yesterday.
take some.
And it was super good, the fish. What was it called? The Golden Chippy?
Yep.
Golden Chippy is considered one of the best fish and chip spots in London and specifically here in Greenwich.
Yeah. So we recommend that place for the fish for sure. The chips we just added a little salt and they were good.
Yeah.
But then Derek got an interesting dessert. You want to tell them about it?
Yeah, so I was reading a review from Eater, and they were talking about, highlighting probably like the top 10 fish and chip spots in the UK or in London. And they were saying at this place that, it was all very good, but what stole the show was really, or where they really shined, was in their banana fritters, which is basically they take a whole bit. I know you don't like bananas. So they take like a whole
You're
banana,
like, "Ew."
they like bread it and they deep fry it. Think like if you go to like a fair in the US and anything that they deep fry there, it's kind of like that. But it's really nice because it comes out, it's not like greasy or oily or anything. It's very, very nice. And then they put some, as they call it, cheap whipped cream. So it's like ready whip on the side with a drizzle of caramel and some cinnamon. It's yummy. It's very good.
Lots of banana goodness.
And it doesn't have the texture or anything. You just bite into it, kind of like melts. It's very yummy.
So Mo, congratulations. So he was saying while he was in line at IKEA, he got his permanent UK residency.
Oh,
Hey,
nice.
Nice.
Congrats.
Awesome. On a Sunday, no less.
And he's saying that next year will be his citizenship.
Yep.
So that's awesome.
Very cool. Well, cheers to you.
Congrats,
Even
Mo.
though
Yeah,
I only have like one
congratulations.
sip left, so cheers, Mo.
We'll buy you an actual drink when we get to Northern Ireland.
What is that sound? We have a beep.
That's the buzzer for the front door.
Oh, okay. Got it. I just want to make sure there
Purdue.
wasn't something we needed to take care
Yeah.
of.
The self-destruct sequence isn't inactivated. No.
we gotta go. No. Yeah, cool.
Purdue, welcome. How you
Welcome,
doing, Purdue?
Thanks for all the recommendations you sent me before. And then Thomas's Bake Off is on Channel 4, so we're gonna have to watch that, I suppose.
Mhm.
Is it a new competition each time? Or do I-
Yes.
Okay, so I can
Like a new season.
I don't have to watch several seasons to just
Correct.
Okay, I can
Yeah.
just jump right in.
You don't have to follow the plot line from the first few seasons.
Yeah. Thanks for opening the window, by the way. It is hot in here.
So hot. And...
So hot in her. Yeah, that's another thing. Do you miss air conditioning?
Yes.
What
What kind of a question
Central
is that?
air. Well, especially we were talking about last night that the last 5 years or so, there's been so much more these hot weather streaks
Yes.
in the UK.
Yes. Yes. The houses here are built to keep heat in,
Yeah.
and in the past number of years, that means that it's boiling in the summer.
Yeah.
And then you open your windows and they don't have screens, so the bugs come in and you get eaten alive.
Yeah.
Yes. And also diesel fumes and air pollution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So there's all of
Yes,
that.
I miss air conditioning.
Yep.
I'm assuming those Dyson things just don't heat them.
For the price of a Dyson, you can get a proper air conditioner. Like a window unit.
That's good.
That's nice. So, let's see if anybody else has questions. So, for anybody who has just joined us, my friend Catherine, and she is an expat living here in London. She's from America originally, and she's been here for 10 years. And so I thought it'd be fun to have her on to just answer anybody's questions about what to do in London if you're a traveler, or expat life here, or anything like that you want to ask her. So feel free to ask questions as you think of them, and we'll try to ask you a couple more if you're up for it. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I don't know how many questions.
Derek had some real fun ones. You were the one
Yeah.
asking about sticky toffee pudding.
I mean, I've got the hard-hitting questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Making sure that we
I'm
get
bad
to the
at
real
I'm
story.
bad at hard-hitting questions like that, I think. I ask her about things like visas. What else? Let's see.
Yeah, so I mean, I'd say I know you were saying before, good tip is get out of London, right? So it's the don'ts of London would be don't stay in London. And so, where would you recommend people go?
So, for your average person, unless you're brave like you, driving a car on the other side of the road. So something that you should be aware of if you're thinking about going to the countryside is that a lot of the roads are very narrow, and a lot of times they're, barbed wire or stone fences and or bushes right up against the very narrow road, and you can find yourself barreling down against a delivery truck.
Like the hedgerows? Is that what you're
Yes. So it is not for the faint of heart. I don't drive here. That's why I have a husband. Also for other reasons.
I mean,
But
definitely for the driving.
Yeah, I would.
Hear that, Chris?
I would recommend.
But Chris, so everyone knows, if you were not, Chris is also American, so he's just
But he drives.
Yes.
potentially more
So
better at it.
there are
But,
some nice places you can go on a train. Maybe one. Well, you can actually go to Downton Abbey, but you have to book it many months in advance.
Yeah, that one's called Highclere Castle.
Yes,
right?
Highclere Castle. I've never been there because planning in advance is, you really have to plan in advance.
Yeah.
But one place that you can go that maybe people haven't heard of, that's a really cute little town about maybe like an hour train ride out of London, would be Winchester.
Mm-hmm.
So Winchester has like a cute little cathedral and a nice high street. And
We've passed that on our way to Portsmouth.
Well,
you should go.
Yeah.
You should spend an afternoon. It's nice.
Cool.
It has a very cute little like town square and high street, and that's where Jane Austen is buried.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Is it in the South Downs area? I feel
Maybe.
like we're kind of around that.
Yeah.
So it's the historical capital of Wessex, I think.
Cool.
Back when like Alfred the Great reunited England and all that kind of stuff.
Purdue says Winchester Christmas Market. So
Oh,
I guess there's a
right.
Christmas
I
market
haven't been there at Christmas, but
Do we think Christmas markets will be a thing this year?
I'm kind of guessing no, but
I'm gonna bet no and be
I mean
happily
they do have like
surprised
food
otherwise.
stands here. Like we went around Greenwich and just walked around yesterday, and there was all these food carts and things. So
mulled wine delivery on Deliveroo.
Yeah.
So Thomas Reiser is saying, definitely have to go to Kent
Hi, Laura,
and
by the
get
way,
a sat
joining.
nav.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
That's
think,
GPS.
Yeah.
the GPS stuff. Yeah.
And then so I saw that Julie Good, hi Julie by the way, she says, before the pandemic, Catherine, did you do much traveling throughout Europe?
Yes. It would be easier to ask me where I haven't gone to.
Bye Eric, thanks for joining.
On the subject of Christmas markets, if you ever are feeling like you want to travel in this part of the world in that time of year, definitely going to Germany, and we've been to the eastern part of France as well, and doing Christmas markets is like a really fun thing to do, because it's, when it's that cold and gray and dark out, not much is fun, but that's really nice.
So like Strasbourg?
We
Alsace?
have been, well, Alsace, yes. We went to, what's the town called? One of them. That was the last one we went to, and I don't remember what the town was called. But we tended to go to a little bit like the smaller ones. We went to Bremen.
Okay.
Bremen was really nice.
Is that in France?
No, that's in Germany, north of Germany. We went to Stuttgart. Stuttgart was good.
Did you guys buy a car?
And
I know you didn't buy a car.
yeah, no. But you can go to like them, all the car museums that are there in Germany. Yeah.
Especially
We did.
Stuttgart.
They were interesting. They have some really old cars there.
Colmar? Question mark? That's in France, I believe.
I don't know. I haven't been there.
Okay.
But maybe it's something I need to check out if we're ever able to do something like that again.
I feel
We'll
like
see.
Colmar is over by Strasbourg.
Oh, okay.
And then Thomas says Strasbourg has a cool market. Yeah.
Is Darian still on?
I don't think.
Because
Darian,
would have
if
some
you are
real
still on,
views
let us know
on
your German Christmas
German
market
towns.
recos.
Because he is Germany travel personal guy.
But yeah, so Catherine, to answer Julie's question, has been
Everywhere.
all over Europe. Everywhere.
But you love,
Not
you love
everywhere.
Portugal. You were saying
Yes,
Portugal
Portugal is definitely a country that you should go to. Especially it's like wonderful wine and food and cheese, but more affordable. But do not go to Lisbon in the summer because you will die of heat.
You said Porto's nice though. That's
Porto is nice. Yes, I've been there twice in July. It's very nice. That's where we got engaged.
Oh.
So, yeah,
So it's really special
yeah,
too.
it's nice.
Well, and engaged there, married in Italy.
Yes.
Yeah, so Derek and I
Very
went to
European over
Yeah.
here.
Derek and I went to Catherine's wedding in Piedmont region of Italy, which
Yes.
is
Phenomenal
the
wine.
northwest part that
Yes.
has amazing wine. How did you? I mean, you chose it because you.
We
love
went
this.
together in 2012, and we really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
And it also has, it's close to Milan, so it has more places to do a wedding and more like caterers and photographers and just sort of all the stuff that you need to have a wedding.
Yeah.
There's more of it
Yeah.
there. But yeah, it's I don't really like to tell too many Americans about it because they'll all start going there. But it is
super
It is really
nice.
nice.
And that was the case when we were actually planning that trip for your wedding. Is we were looking at guidebooks. You know, we'd go to Barnes and Noble and look at the Italy guidebooks and try to figure out what should we be doing.
The Piedmont
Well,
section was
there.
super little.
It was
all
either
over the
super
place.
little or completely
Non-existent,
non-existent. And it's funny because it's this super famous wine region, but from a tourism perspective, it's like far enough from Milan.
It's
that
like drink wine.
Yeah, like that. But it's also like far enough from Milan that like Americans don't really necessarily like fly in and then do a 2-hour drive.
But
So you
Milan,
still
like
see as
Milan
many
is one of the
Americans.
cheapest flights.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
That's true.
Emirates
Almost
flies
always.
through there
Yeah.
and everything too. On its way to
So,
Dubai.
Affordable.
Malpensa Airport.
That's actually what we flew to your wedding. Was we flew Emirates for the first time.
Yeah. But it's interesting. I would say Piedmont was super free of Americans. Like we were
Yeah.
the only group. Like if you saw
Yeah.
another American, you'd be like, oh, you're part of the wedding probably.
Yes.
Oh, do you know
Yes.
Catherine Chris?
But also like, because Derek and I did not speak Italian, and so you kind of felt that there was a lot less of like the we also speak English element
Yes.
to all the places you would visit. You kind of had to get by with your Italian Google Translate and stuff.
Or you try to speak Spanish to people and they'd be like, we don't speak
Yeah,
Spanish.
that's our own flaw.
But it's a romance language.
we just default to Spanish and people are like, what's wrong with you?
Dead on.
Vino, or how do you say?
Vino.
Vino. Is it?
Vino.
It's the same.
Yeah, vino.
That's all you need to. Vino.
Mas vino, por
Pizza.
favor. Do it.
We got this.
Pasta.
we don't need Italian.
Let's just like come out with it. Like when Eliz and I go to Italy, we eat pizza, we eat pasta and gelato,
Yeah.
and we drink wine. That's about it.
Ordering food is very easy when you narrow it down like that.
Not only that, but like when we were there, we noticed that in Piedmont especially, it must have been mushroom season because the tagliatelle di funghi was like the only thing on menus in a lot of places we were going to. And so like that is one time where it's delicious, but after a certain while we're like, I need other things. Even though it's like very nice, after like a week you're like, alright, that McDonald's down the street's looking pretty good now in Como.
Yeah. So Catherine Haggerty says, hi from New Jersey, originally from Cork, Ireland. Lots of
nice.
stately homes and castles to visit and explore. Go to the Kensington Gardens, Tower of London, visit Bath and York, Roman settlement. So we have not
York
been to
is
York.
high on our list.
And yes, for
Yeah.
this trip, why can't I speak? It is extremely high up there. Bath we've been to and we'll definitely still go back. It is awesome. I totally agree with you there.
I feel like I can't come to like the UK for personal travel and not go to Bath and get high tea. Like I
Yeah.
feel like we just have to. But
Yeah, we love it. And then also, so Tower of London is my favorite London like tourist attraction. But do you have a favorite one?
I think the Houses of Parliament's pretty cool. Like the tour.
Yeah. And you can go there when like it's in session, right?
Yes. Well,
The government's
no,
there.
because you need your member of parliament needs to give you a pass, basically. So you
okay.
need to, if you live here, you need to write your MP, and they'll give you a pass. I believe. I think that's how it works.
So if you're a tourist, basically you're out of luck.
I think so,
Okay.
but I could be wrong.
Okay. I got to go, so when I studied abroad, some of the other students in my program were interning at Parliament. And so they were
As you
able,
do. I mean, who doesn't?
yeah, they actually interned for MPs, which was so super cool. We had some really cool internships as part of that program because everybody was required to have an internship as part of the study program. So I think we didn't get like credit for it or anything, but it was just a part of the program. So I did not work in Parliament, but some of my other friends did, and they were able to bring me and like all the other kids, and just do like a little tour around. And I believe it was when Parliament was in session, so I didn't realize that maybe that was a little bit special. But it's cool. Like I went inside the House of Commons and the House of Lords.
Yeah, it's just so old.
Yeah.
And there's so much
is that in Westminster? Is that
history.
around that
Mhm,
Yeah.
Westminster.
just so much history of like democracy
Mm-hmm.
there.
And the big news with that is that I think starting in October 6th or 7th, they're gonna start taking the scaffolding down from Big Ben. So like that's
Happening.
really cool.
So-
Really excited to finally get like a clear shot of Big Ben.
Yeah. Thank God, it's been like years. We
Yeah.
keep coming back and it's still under scaffolding.
Purdue's saying
Yes,
that
I was
London
just
Sky
gonna say this.
Garden is one of his favorites.
Oh, yes.
And you just need to sign up 3 weeks in
So
advance.
during a
I've
Global
heard about that.
pandemic, you don't need to.
yeah,
Oh, really?
we literally just
Day
showed
of.
up on Thursday, an hour before sunset, and we were like, I wonder if we could get tickets to the Sky Garden. And lo and behold, we just bought tickets right at
Was
the
it good?
at the door.
I've heard it's good. I haven't been
Oh
there.
yeah, it's great. We've
I
been
would
there
say like
twice.
the food is a little bit overpriced.
Oh, yeah,
And
totally.
like the drinks probably too.
Yeah.
But you're there for the view and you're paying for the view. So
Well,
um,
it's
and
free to go up. You can get a ticket in advance, and it costs nothing. So it's free to go up. You just need to book in advance, so you have a time slot in the
Yeah.
ticket. But what we found out, I looked up. If you go to the bar, you can book a time to go to their bar or their restaurant, and they still had availability for 2 to go up to the bar area. And so we got it for like, I don't know, call it 7:15, sitting time. But you can go in early, so you can like walk around, see the botanical garden type area, and get pictures. So it was very nice.
But yes, in normal times, definitely get tickets like as soon as they open up. I think they open up 3 weeks in advance or a month in advance. And then you just have to grab what you can, especially for those key times like sunset or something like that. But then the outdoor section, so if any of you have ever been to the Sky Garden, that you like, it's slanted, and then that front outdoor section that overlooks the Shard was actually closed, or it's appeared to be closed at least, I think because the temperature was a little bit cooler and they didn't want people coming in and out. So that was kind of a disappointment because we wanted to get pictures going that way and weren't able to. But otherwise, like we got some good pictures of a lot of those
Yeah, we actually
London
had a really
sites.
nice sunset that day.
Yeah. Bonnie says Nuremberg in Germany has an awesome Christmas market, and
Oh, yeah.
Thomas said the same thing. Nuremberg, Munich, Stuttgart.
Oh
Recommended.
yeah, I've been to Nuremberg, but in March, so that was cheap. The ticket was like 39 euros,
Wow.
and we went because Chris was going for the Adidas Investor Day thing.
Yeah.
That's where Adidas is based. I've not been to the Christmas market.
Where did you fly out of when you did that?
Somewhere Stansted or Luton,
Okay.
one of those.
Do you have a favorite London airport? You're like, can I
City.
choose 0?
Yeah, London City is quite nice.
Yeah.
It's crowded
Yeah.
because it's teeny tiny, but from Canary Wharf you can't beat that.
Well, and the security there is super easy. Like
Yeah.
I always found going through their security lines really.
It's just
it was
quick.
simple.
There's not that many people. Yeah,
I
that's
think I got food poisoning there, but otherwise great. Otherwise great.
yeah.
But still recommend.
Yeah.
You're right. 4 out of 4 would fly again.
I think your favorite London airport depends on where you live. So, like
Yeah.
for example, when I was near London Bridge area, and there weren't as many train issues at the time. Like Gatwick was wonderful.
Okay.
When we lived in Notting Hill, Heathrow was quite good because we were close to Paddington and you can take the train from there.
Okay.
And when we lived in Shoreditch, Stansted was actually our favorite because the Stansted Express left from the Liverpool Street
Right.
train station.
And yeah, you were right there. That
Yeah.
makes sense. We saw that the Gatwick Express might not be running right now.
That is, well, even before this whole pandemic thing, they were having massive train issues
Interesting.
down there because there's all sorts of, I don't even know, there's like this train company or maybe 2 train companies that have all these years and years long strikes, and it affects many thousands of commuters, and who
Mhm.
even knows why it's still going on. It's just one of those things.
Yeah. Interesting. So maybe it's not pandemic related. Maybe it's
I don't know,
Yeah.
but it's been bad for a while.
So there's a big wide world. Welcome to you. So they're saying the public galleries in the House of Parliament are open to anyone, UK resident and tourists. you can go in and watch the debates. It's interesting for a short time.
Oh, right.
Okay, thank you
Okay.
for clarifying that one.
I do like the specification of for a short
For a
time.
short
yeah,
time.
like it's interesting.
After a while, you just want to go drink.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting
really
until
good.
it drives you to the bottle.
There's a reason Churchill liked his Scotch.
um,
So Thomas Reiser says that he recommends London City and Heathrow, Terminal 5.
yeah, and Thomas says he's toured Parliament too. Okay, so glad we clarified that one.
Klaus
Mhm.
is saying Flensburg is
Oh,
a very
and
cozy.
Kiel.
Yeah, he says he's been to Kiel and Flensburg, but the Kiel wasn't anything too special, and Flensburg was very cozy, which I assume is nice.
Nice.
Well, I do like on the Thames they usually do like the little Christmas
Oh, the
market
South
right
Bank
there.
one?
The South Bank one, yeah.
The South Bank
By,
one is
the London Eye.
Yeah,
right?
that's
I don't
much.
think I've been to that
That's
one.
preferable to the Hyde Park one, which
Okay.
is just like a nightmare of
Well, no,
so many people.
we actually went there. We were there last fall. You didn't want to go in.
The Hyde Park one.
No,
Oh,
the
the
one
South
by
Bank
South
one.
Bank. She was getting hungry. So.
Mm.
Yeah, I was
And as
so
we all
They
hangry.
have
know,
food
you had
there.
to
I was so
feel
hangry that I don't even remember this.
Feed me.
Feed me. No, I do. Now I'm like vaguely remembering this. Yeah, so
I think we were also very tired.
I think you got me like a hot chocolate or something.
Yeah.
And then, I missed one I know. Oh yeah, so Catherine is saying Blenheim Palace in Oxfordshire, including the Dukes
Oh,
of
yes.
Marlborough,
Mhm.
home of Winston Churchill and Cotswolds area, to the Upper Thames, to the escarpment. Very picturesque, typical English countryside.
Sounds like a road
What's
trip.
this? Yeah.
I don't know
Like
what
a
an
whole-
escarpment is.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what that is either. Maybe it's just a formal name of something. But that's cool. Yeah, we're trying to go to a lot of those places within this trip. So Derek and I are renting our car tomorrow morning. And we're gonna do a road trip through Kent.
Yep, on our way back to Portsmouth.
On our way back to Portsmouth. And then we're hopefully going to be doing that trip that he kind of described to you guys last week, where we'll go to the Cotswold, to
Alright,
Cornwall.
so actually somebody was asking
Slightly different.
that. Slightly different.
Yeah,
So-
Cornwall.
somebody was actually asking that like way back at the beginning of the chat, and I don't know if they're still on, but they were saying where do we plan to go in the UK? And so the plan is still to do Kent, then spend some time back in Portsmouth for a little while before we head on our what we consider our epic road trip, which will be down to Cornwall for a few days before starting to head north and get to Scotland. On the way to Scotland, we'll stop off in the Lake District, hopefully, and do some nice hikes, we hope, before we get to Scotland. And then in Scotland, we'll head up to like Inverness in the Highlands area, where we hope to do the NC 500, maybe. We hope. Because we
We'll
want to
see.
get to John O'Groats, which is in the far northeast. And we want to start off at like Land's End down in Cornwall, so we'll have then done like
Whew.
the full
Diagonal.
diagonal, basically,
Jeez.
of England or of Britain, Great Britain. So
We haven't run
That's
this
the
by
plan.
Catherine yet, though, so she might be vetoing this.
it's like 850 miles or something like that. So
That's ambitious.
Well, we have some time.
Yeah.
we do have time.
Yeah.
But then we'd head over to like Belfast, do Northern Ireland for like a week before hopefully heading down to Wales. If any of Wales is open at that point, I know a bunch of it's closed with like local restrictions in place. But I think the north is still open, so we could go do like Snowdonia National Park, which is lovely. It's a great place. So that's kind of the plan before hitting maybe Bristol and Bath for a little while, and then coming back into London for the last week or two.
Yeah, so hopefully that all works out. But we are not booking everything right now. We're very conscious of a lot
Play it
of
by
these
ear.
new regulations that come up around, protecting the country from the pandemic. So we're kind of taking things like, I don't know, week by week, day by day, with a general outline that would be ideal. So it's not necessarily the best or like, it's not our like desired way to travel, but it's kind of what needs to happen right now in order to make sure we're as flexible as possible. So yeah, still the plan as last week, but hopefully we're still crossing our fingers. So an escarpment is a long, steep slope, especially one at the edge of a plateau or separating areas of land at different heights.
Oh.
Interesting.
We're
Okay.
learning stuff now. Very cool.
So Gareth is asking if we're renting a manual or an automatic. The answer is an automatic, which is a little unfortunate because you have to pay a pretty high premium to do that.
I think it was definitely like hundreds of dollars difference that we are gonna have to pay because we don't know how to drive a
Yeah, it was
manual.
like 400 pounds more, I think, for the length of our travels, which is kind of a lot. Wish I wasn't paying that, but oh well.
Have I told you about the Italian guy who didn't know how to drive an automatic?
Mm-mm.
Wait, what?
So I was in the south of Italy. I was in Calabria like 7 years ago, and I was I went to this hotel, and they were gonna park my car because they had this tiny little narrow little parking inlet
Yeah.
place.
And you had like a valet sort of thing.
It was like one of the guys that worked at the front desk.
Okay.
And he was like, you know, maybe like my dad's age. And he like got in the car, he like opened the door and he was like,
You're missing parts.
he was like, I can't drive this. And I
There's
was
no
like, what are you
clutch.
talking about? So he like went in and he got like the teenager who was like working at the desk, and he came out and he's like, oh. And he parked my car for me. And he was like, oh, he doesn't know how to drive an automatic. I'm like, oh.
But the teenager had learned somehow, or you
Yeah.
just didn't.
I guess.
I'm confused with
Or
how you
figured it
don't know.
out, 'cause
Like,
you just
just
put it
hit
in
the
drive.
gas and the brake. There's
Yeah,
not much to
it is unbelievable to me. I've heard that once from a South African as well, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Gas, brake pedal. You speak
It's-
English.
It's very binary.
Park, reverse, drive.
Go, stop, go, stop, go, stop.
Well, I don't know how to drive a manual.
Yeah, neither do I.
And it's very unfortunate because the amount of times that we've wanted to know this
Yeah.
is many. And so hopefully someday we'll learn how to drive one.
Yeah, so Purdue is talking about Kent, and he's saying Canterbury, Leeds, Rochester castles, which we plan to go to Leeds and Rochester when we're in Kent. We've been to Canterbury before, so we might skip that or just kind of like drive through.
Yeah.
And then if you take the Darts Ford crossing, you can pay the toll up today or two after you cross, or sign up before on the TFL website. So if we accidentally go on the toll road, we can still pay it, which is nice.
Oh, good. So he was also saying watch Jules' Guide on YouTube videos about London, very historically illuminating. And yes, I've seen that channel before, and I believe they were the ones that actually told me about the Harry Potter tour around London that I went on with my whole family 2 years ago, and it was super fun. You go around like with a tour guide to all these different Harry Potter sites, whether they're from the books or the movies, and it was free, and it was on walks.com.
Yeah, you just
And
tip at the end.
Yeah, you just tip at the end, which of course we're very generous about. But
Yes, tip your
it's-
tour guide. If you ever do a free walking tour, please do not
or just any
be
tour.
that person. Just tip, because that's how they make their living. So
Yeah.
if you got value from it, make sure that you're tipping.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So the one thing I would say is that Mo is saying in the UK, if you do your driving test with an automatic, you can only drive automatics. But if you
Yep.
do it with a manual, you can drive either. And Chris was telling us about that actually
Yes.
yesterday. It was that he had done it with the automatics, and so that's kind of all that you guys do now.
Yeah, well, it's he had taken some manual driving school here,
Yeah.
and he thought about doing the manual one, but then he was like, I just want to pass this stupid test. And then the reality is, like I was saying, a lot of the roads are pretty narrow here,
Yeah.
and you really want to be like stalling out while you're like, there's this UPS truck like barreling down at you. I think the answer is no.
Yeah,
So,
the answer yesterday when you told me that was no, and it's still no.
some things are, worth. There's value, So.
But it's interesting that he ended up taking a manual test, or class.
Yeah.
When
Well, he was
moved
thinking
here.
about it. He
Yeah.
was, because you do, even in continental Europe, there's a huge premium for an automatic car.
Right. And in South America.
But again, even in Europe, you're like driving down some gravel path in the backwoods of Spain. You really want to be like,
This
I
is
don't
the
know.
time to learn.
Yes.
This is it. This is my moment.
Yeah.
You only get one shot.
Yeah.
So,
Man.
Catherine is saying definitely do the whiskey tour in Scotland. It's a lot of fun. And try to visit the Isle of Skye in Eilean Castle, which is beautiful, by the way. Eilean is one of these phenomenal castles with this like arched bridge that kind of like leads out to the castle. It's breathtaking. I think it's right before you get on the sky.
Yeah, it's in Kyle Lakash.
Yeah, so it's
that was
very
me
cool.
butchering some Celtic words.
Yeah,
Apologies to
yeah.
anybody who's offended.
So
But that was
Eilean
my
is an
that was
awesome
my
place.
attempt at telling you where it is.
Yeah. And the Isle of Skye is beautiful. Actually, just posted a photo from there a few days ago. Definitely, we plan to get to
Yes,
Isle of Skye.
Isle of
and do
Skye is
that for a few days.
definitely high on our Scotland list for this trip. We desperately want to go back. We loved it. We only stayed there for one night, so like 2 days, one night, and it was certainly not enough.
Yeah.
So if even if we don't make it to the NC 500, I want to go to Isle of Skye if possible. Then, all right. So we've answered yes. We're renting the automatic. Mo says London City is great and close to the O2 Arena. Got an Airbnb for £20 a night back in November for the Hans Zimmer concert. Wow, that's really
Cheap.
affordable. Yeah, that must be like close to the airport, I would guess. Yeah, because if you go closer to the actual city of London, that's gonna be tough to find an Airbnb at that price. That's for sure. That's cool
Wow.
that you came in for the concert.
I was just reading Mo's recent thing, which says in Northern Ireland, if you touch the curb with your wheels, you fail the test. Once you pass your test, you have to put up R stickers for restricted, and you're only allowed to drive a maximum of 45 miles per hour for the first year.
Huh.
Oh wow.
That's pretty
Interesting.
intense.
Well, at least they're keeping everybody safe.
Yeah.
Well, and you were telling us this, once you've been in the UK for a year, you're no longer allowed to use your US license.
That's correct.
You have to actually get like a UK driver's license at that point.
So somehow you are considered a safer potential driver than I am.
Right.
Even though, other than the fact that you're willing to drive here and I'm not, there is no other difference between the two of us.
Yeah.
So Catherine has like no desire to drive here. She likes Chris, her husband, to be the one that drives. So yeah, Derek wants to be able to drive around.
No, I mean, but yeah, there is a freedom though to have the ability to drive and like go places. But as long as like as a couple you can do it, that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
You guys have done a number of trips like Cornwall and a few other
Yeah.
places
What are some of
recently.
your road trips this summer?
All sorts. So we've been to Sussex and Kent twice, different parts of it, just hiking around.
So you were in
Going
the
to
country
outdoor pub
and
gardens.
at the seashore, right?
Yes, we went to, what was it called, Camber Sands. There's like a nice nature park part of it.
Cool.
And we went for like a walk on the beach. You can't really, swim.
Yeah.
It's too cold.
It's right on the English Channel.
Oh, that's something else I miss about America. Beaches and
Beaches where you can swim.
oceans.
Sandy beaches.
Yeah, we went to the beach in Cornwall one day during our week there, and our daughter was running around in the little tide pools, and after 10 minutes she was like freezing cold and shivering, and we had to like run her back to the car as fast as we could and take her home and try and get her warm again. But it wasn't exactly like, the beach holidays that I fondly remember.
Right. It's a little different.
We've been to Norfolk. Norfolk is wonderful.
Which is where Norwich is, right, too?
Norwich.
Norwich. Yeah. So there's all the stately homes and really nice gardens.
And that is part of like I think, East
seafood,
Anglia type of-
fresh crab. They sell fresh crab in those like little sheds by the, in the harbors.
Is that the place you're telling us about that has like really great deals of crab?
Yes, you can get like a very large, fresh, delicious
Yeah.
crab.
Like
They pick
shelled
all the meat
already,
out.
yeah.
It's just in the shell. They give you a fork, like, 5 to 8 pounds, depending what size it is. Which is something that would be 50 pounds in a restaurant. I don't know, a lot.
Yeah.
For that kind of crab meat.
There's a town I saw.
Nice ice cream places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
top notch ice cream.
Yeah.
Catherine likes to tell us where all the good ice cream places are, so hopefully we'll be able to track some down.
Well, I didn't know that like Cornwall, you guys were saying, is actually kind of like known for ice cream as
Yes.
well, which is pretty
Yep.
interesting. I wouldn't have thought that.
Pasties and ice cream.
Pasties and ice cream.
Yep.
Which I'm excited to try a real Cornish pasty. I've never had one before, so that'll be nice.
Yeah, me
Well,
too.
they're. I mean, that was my first Cornish pasty as well because I've had them before, but they're not as good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because you could find a place in England or in London.
Well, in
I mean, they
Waterloo-
have them in like the airport,
Yeah,
like
the
West
train.
Cornwall Pasty
Yeah,
Company
yeah,
or whatever.
I think
Yeah.
when we got off the
Waterloo
train at
Station.
Waterloo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
they
just
have
not the same though.
Yeah. So Purdue saying, haha, yeah, I drove in the UK 600 plus miles, not being asked once if I knew a thing about UK traffic laws. Did fine, it was fun. That's the other thing, is like not really
Some people
knowing the
find that
traffic laws
fun.
here.
I would not find that fun.
Well-
You'd find it really nerve-wracking.
Yes.
Well, that is a thing, is, you know, especially in cities, that I find is, you know, not understanding, like, am I allowed to enter there? Am I not allowed to enter? Am I on a one-way street right now going the wrong direction? Like,
Yep.
I feel that way quite often. Actually, when we were in for your wedding in Italy, was the first time I experienced
Yes.
that, where I was like,
Italy
this
has
is
a lot of that.
not a two-way street. I'm
Yes.
confused. And it turns out it's actually a lot like parts of Scotland where it has like the kind of like the passing lane where you have to like pull into and let the other car pass you, and that's
Different.
interesting the first time you do it.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for sat nav. Without that, I
Yes.
wouldn't know where I was going.
Although when we were in Portsmouth, we took an Uber to the train station from our Airbnb, and the Uber driver missed the exit in the roundabout. And so I was like, oh, good. Now I'm not going to feel as bad. Somebody who's lived here his entire life missed an exit. If I have to go around twice, I'll just fit right in.
Yeah.
And then we bonded over the fact that roundabouts are great because you just keep going around.
Yep.
You know, until
Yeah.
you hit the right one, you just keep going around in a circle.
Yep.
It's nice.
So, okay, there's been a lot of great recommendations here.
I agree. West Cornwall pasties are rubbish.
Well, what is it? Is it Cornwall that has the other way of doing scones? Is it
They do a lot of them.
cream and then jam, or jam then one's Devonshire?
No, I
one's,
think it's. I don't know about that actually,
Yeah.
but I've heard that
According
one of
to
them.
Graham, one
So
of
a
them.
cream tea is like a thing that everyone talks about, and then you realize that it's a tea with cream, and you're like, this is not that, you know. But it does come with a scone and jam and clotted cream, which is my favorite tea thing. I don't,
Oh, yeah,
all those
so-
mayonnaise sandwiches I don't care about.
Yeah, Kathy doesn't like mayonnaise.
But
I
like,
want the scone or the scone.
yes,
Depending on where you're from.
with the jam and the clotted, like that's the best.
All right, so,
So that's the
Gareth
good
is
part of the cream
Gareth
tea.
is telling us. So he says jam then cream is Cornish, cream then jam is Devonshire.
Oh.
So like that's like a big thing. Is like, which way do you?
I
do
thought it was what order they put the cream into the tea. Like some put the cream into the
Water.
mug first and then the tea, and the other one puts the tea in first and then the cream. I thought it was that.
So, please, if you are from the UK, tell us if that is also a regional thing that we
Yeah.
need to know about.
We don't want to
Graham,
offend people.
Gareth, I feel like Catherine is originally from there. Yeah, we
When
just
you
need
go to
know.
Cornwall, don't go out for a tea and be like, oh, this is not as good as the one I had in Devon.
So
Or just be like, I wish that the jam was elsewhere.
my thing. All right. I'm gonna go with. Okay, so Gareth says jam then cream. Cornwall. So there's a big wide world says cream then jam is Cornwall. So I don't know which one's right. All I know is I do think that there's something to doing cream then jam on top. But I feel like because the jam is denser, it'll then go through the cream and mix a little bit. I think that would be really tasty. So that's my thought on it. I don't know. We'll try both ways and we'll report back.
I need to know about the tea cream order now. And I'm dying here. I need to know. But it might just be personal preference. Like people.
I don't know.
Gareth is like, I'm right.
Oh gosh, now we're getting mixed up. And-
Although I do like, there's a big wide world says that Devon's way is the right way. Sounds like we have somebody from Devon.
Yep. And then Mo says the driving part is because of the freedom. Oh wait, so I don't know if I've missed. Okay, in the UK, if you do your driving test, Oh, so we read that before. And the driving part is because of the freedom, but as a young person, insurance is mad expensive, like thousands of dollars.
So it used to be you had to put a little milk in the cup before you poured the tea. This was to
Do you
protect
want some ice?
the china from the thermal shock of boiling tea going, oh, right, okay. But you absolutely can't do that if you're using a tea bag. It'll spoil the tea.
Interesting.
Yes, I agree with that. If you are pouring hot water onto a tea bag and you have the milk in the mug, it does not steep properly. You need to steep the tea and then add the milk, because having like the cold liquid means, the hot water doesn't do its work.
Right.
Interesting.
That makes sense.
Do you want cider?
No thanks. For the even for the ignorant American, like I
You figured that
have
out.
figured that out.
That makes sense. And then what if you don't put cream in your tea? Do you get like looked down on? Because I usually drink my tea black.
My flatmate used to be like, I would like a normal tea. Or she'd be like, would you like a normal tea or would you like it black? And I'm
so there's like an implied judgment from the get-go.
Yes.
So I drink my tea black because I like shouldn't be having cream or anything, but is that considered an excuse, or are you
I
still...
would think so.
Okay, hopefully.
I mean, it is
I'm
sort
sorry to everybody if you are judging me. And just so everybody knows, so Catherine spells her name with a K. But yes, you're absolutely
that
correct.
is another cultural point.
Yes.
I always have my name spelled with a C here because that's,
that's what
the
everyone
most normal
seems to
way.
do. Like, because Kate Middleton is with the
Yes.
C, right? And so everyone kind of defaults that direction, I feel.
That's just the British spelling.
Yeah. Although I had a friend in college whose name was Catherine, who her mom was British, and she spelled it Kathryn, and tried to tell me that was also a British way. Have you seen that before?
No.
Okay.
Doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
That's true. And then Gareth says he hates tea. Well, then I don't even know what people say to you in the UK. You're just like,
Yeah.
maybe you get an excuse for that.
I mean, that's legit.
Well, your husband doesn't really drink coffee or tea.
Yeah,
does
but he's
anybody
not
feel-
British.
Yeah, so it's like he's an American, so it's fine. Like,
Pretty much.
okay. Interesting. And then Graham says black tea is fine. There's no cultural judgment in the UK that I'm aware of. So maybe
Alright.
it's just your flatmate.
Maybe. People do look at you a bit funny in the office if you're drinking black tea,
Yeah.
in my experience. Maybe it's just because I'm a foreigner. I don't know.
They're trying to help you. They're trying
Yeah.
to like, you should probably go this direction. Okay.
Actually, tea, like a nice British way tea, black tea with little milk and sugar is good if you've maybe had a little too much wine the night before. It does help perk you up a little bit and make you feel a little bit less green.
Got it. So it's a hangover cure, is what we're hearing.
Yes.
So
And a
that's
bacon
why
sandwich.
they drink so much tea.
Yes.
And a bacon sandwich?
Yes. So bacon here is like Canadian bacon.
Right.
As
So
we've
there's
been over
streaky
today.
bacon, and then there's bacon.
Yes.
And that's basically American bacon, Canadian bacon.
So like a bacon sandwich is like Canadian bacon on usually like a soft floury roll. And British people put this thing on it called HP brown sauce, but I don't do that.
Right.
So, but that is
But
like,
you see that everywhere here.
that's the equivalent of like going out to a diner for a fry up,
Yeah.
after you've been out the night before.
Okay, got it. So, traveling with Nick, he says the English bacon is huge. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we ended up getting breakfast sandwiches this morning.
Ooh, those were
Thank you,
tasty.
Erica.
Yeah.
And the ones that you guys got had bacon and sausage on them.
They're BAPs.
And
Yep.
a BAP, which I didn't even know what a BAP was.
A BAP
until
is the
this
big
trip.
soft floury roll that I was
Yeah.
referring
A
to.
BAP is a bun, which is also a soup. We had Vietnamese the other day,
Yeah, we
and
were
there's a
ordering
whole
Vietnamese.
thing there.
And we
Yes.
had to translate. But we had to like, we had to We were translating between English and English too.
Yes.
Bacon Beauty?
Buddy.
Buddy?
Yes. Bacon buddy.
What is
Like
that?
a buddy, like a
That's
buddy
a
breakfast
bacon
sandwich.
sandwich.
Oh.
So there's something about when you call it a buddy and when you call it a BAP, and maybe the BAP's just the roll. I don't know. I probably don't do that correctly.
But dang, was it good. It was from a place here in Greenwich that apparently is very popular.
Yes.
Called
Heaps.
Heaps.
Yeah, they make their own sausages.
Yeah, it was good. I got egg and sausage, and everybody else got egg bacon sausage.
And I will say that's like the best English style bacon I've ever had. Like it's actually like crispy.
Yeah, they smoke
like,
their own bacon.
It's so good. So if you are around this area, go there because that is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's right by the park, so I mean, if you're going to the park for the Meridian or whatever, it's easy.
Yeah.
Thomas Reiser's saying, "Give me streaky bacon." I do like streaky bacon too, which is American bacon. So
But if you order like an English breakfast, you're probably gonna get not streaky bacon.
Yeah.
And Purdue says Sammy Buddy Bap, which I don't know the differences.
Oh,
between
Sarnie. Yes.
all. Oh, Sarnie. Sorry, did I
That's
read
like a
that
name
wrong?
for sandwich.
Oh, I've never even heard that one before either.
Yeah. I don't know who says what and what the difference is, and I
Yeah.
don't know, but I know what they are.
And then Purdue says we had dinner in Cardiff Castle, so much fun. I've been to Cardiff Castle; it's beautiful there. Says I'd like to go on a Doctor Who experience too. Do you ever watch Doctor Who? Do you work with people who are really into it at all?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, I was just curious because I know that it's like such a cult favorite here in the UK. And Thomas says recommend Harper's Taxi Tour in Belfast for political tour. Yeah, so I wanted to back up for a second because I know that Catherine had sent several Belfast recommendations for me and Derek, which was great. Where did it go? Okay, if visiting Belfast, do visit the Titanic Museum. My grandfather helped build it. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome. And then Crumlin Gaol, Jail for USA, Belfast Castle, Bushmills Distillery, Redbush is my favorite, on the way to Giant's Causeway. Thank you so much. And yes, Mo also was sending us those recommendations too, along with so many others. So thank you guys so much for all the Northern Ireland recos. We are really hoping to get there. I know that there's been like lockdowns in certain areas there too, so we're keeping our pulse on that. Have you been to Northern Ireland?
No. I've been to Ireland twice, to like go meet friends who were coming
Yeah.
from the US one time, and then once like linked to a work trip.
Okay. Would you go back to Ireland for a vacation, or do you feel like it's too close?
I would. It's really nice.
Mhm.
Nice place to go. You do have to fly,
Yeah.
so it's at the moment it's a bit of an issue, but I would go back.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, there are ferries, and you've taken a ferry from England to France before.
Yes.
Which
Yeah.
you did. That was an overnight ferry, I believe.
Yes.
Do you want to actually tell me? I
Yeah,
don't know
you
if
can do.
everybody's done it.
There's this company called Brittany Ferries. So the first time I did it, it was because the Eurostar was like really expensive, and so I took a ferry from Portsmouth over to like the Normandy area of France, and then rented a car over there, and went to the Loire Valley.
So nice. We love the Loire.
Yeah, and that's like where all the castles.
Chateaus.
Yeah,
Are.
yeah, and they have whole carts full of cheese that
Did
they'll
you
wheel
have
over to your table.
Did you have a favorite town in the Loire?
We stayed near Chenonceau,
Mm-hmm.
and that was my favorite.
That's such a beautiful town.
I mean, I didn't
chateau.
know. That's just sort of how it turned out.
Yeah. Cool. Did you have a favorite, like, that was your favorite chateau, but do you have a favorite, like, food or cheese or anything that you had there? You just loved it all?
It was all so good. Like, I had this amazing rack of lamb, and
Yeah.
I'm obviously not a vegan. Yeah. I think I have a work colleague who's vegan, and I've always wondered what he eats because he went to Italy, and I was like, what did you eat?
Yeah.
But apparently, if the pasta's not fresh, dried pasta is vegan because there's not eggs
There's
in
no
it.
eggs in it?
Yeah, which I
No
was
way.
surprised. So he could eat dried pasta, but like, some grandma's like in the kitchen making fresh pasta, and you're like, can I have the Barilla,
Like,
please?
oh no, thank you.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine, like, that's not for me. But yeah, I mean, I feel like there's definitely, that would be a hard culture to go to, and France too, so France and Italy
Yeah.
to go if you were vegan. But I'm sure you can navigate it, and there's probably resources on the internet to help out. For
Yeah,
that.
I'm
And
sure there is.
I'm the way, like, I try to avoid dairy unless I'm in France, but in which case I'm just like, whatever, I'm gonna eat the cheese and I'll be like, it is what it is. But if you are avoiding dairy, it's kind of easy to navigate at least that part of it, because you kind of can tell if something's cream based, or you can look it up, like what it might look like, or I don't know. I've also seen all around London and Greenwich, like, if you have a dietary restriction, like if you're gluten free, if anything, you can tell the restaurants, and a lot of them have like printed out sheets of what's in every dish, and so they'll check
Really?
if there's dairy, if
Oh,
there's
really?
gluten or something. So maybe the like waiter doesn't know it all, but they'll have it in, like, they will hand you a pamphlet basically of like, here's all of the allergens in each of our dishes.
Huh.
So that's been pretty cool to
Interesting.
see. They're like, Giraffe did that. Have you been to a Giraffe chain before?
I think so. They have those
Um,
in the airports a lot.
And then like we went to a tapas place that did that, which tapas places have a ton of stuff on the menu, so I was very impressed with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was interesting. I like London in that regard. Okay, so Catherine says take the ferry, P&O ferries from Cairn in Scotland to Larne, Belfast. I think that's the one that
Oh,
we're
okay.
looking at, actually. And then we'll do Belfast to Liverpool to come back, as long as everything
At least
is
that's the
still
plan.
open and working.
If Liverpool's under a lockdown, absolutely do that.
Yeah, because I know like Manchester and Birmingham right now have a little bit of like lockdown situations, so I'll have to look into whether Liverpool's that way. And then Gareth says also been to Ireland by ferry, yeah, and I believe Gareth is in Cardiff. Love taking the ferry. So many childhood memories going down to Portsmouth to take the ferry. So I wish that we had more opportunity to do it from Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Because it's funny
You're
because
right
we're there.
there.
It's like we could go to Spain, we could go to France, but we're gonna at least try to go to the Isle of Wight.
And the ferry to get to Spain is like a 24-hour ferry, so you're on it for like the entire day.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Huh.
And I think the shortest one is like 23 hours and 50 minutes.
Holy cow!
So
Wow.
it's a long one. You get a full night's sleep. So
Mhm.
there you go.
As long as I don't have to
A
like.
bit too long.
A little too long.
Yeah.
Santander.
Hopefully they have good food at least, and you can enjoy the journey.
Yeah. Fun cruise ship activities.
Yeah.
Jazzercise.
Some tells me it's not like the Princess of the Sea.
Can you imagine like a jazzercise class on a ferry to Spain? Oh my. Bonnie says, didn't realize Portsmouth is close to Southampton. Drove from London to Southampton and sailed to Barcelona. Must have sailed past Portsmouth. Travel is a fun way to learn geography. Wait, so Barcelona is that on the other side?
Yeah.
So can you take is it maybe like a cruise or something that goes all the way around?
Maybe. I don't know.
Bonnie, I'm gonna need to know more, because I know like Bilbao would be kind of in
Crazy.
that direct line, but that would
But
be
that's
a
the
long
other side of Spain, though. That's like
Barcelona.
West Spain. Or no, Barcelona's east.
Yeah, you'd have to go into the
Yeah.
Mediterranean.
Right, you'd have to go like
And
around.
Bilbao is more like up at the northwest.
That's what I was saying.
part.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
Barcelona,
sorry.
you'd go through like the Straits of Hercules and Strait of Gibraltar type area. And
Right, that
That
would
would
be
take
a
a
long
long
one. You have to
time.
go around Portugal. Yeah.
that'd be like a 2-week cruise.
Hey Darian, Darian, we had a question for you earlier about Christmas markets in Germany. So a lot of people were recommending some, but I'm sure you have others that you.
Yeah, what's your favorite Christmas market? I'm guessing it's Garmisch.
Garmisch.
Garmisch,
Right.
my bad, Garmisch.
And then Nick says, I've only been to Dublin, Ireland. It is the first country on my list when I can travel again internationally. Yeah, it's so fun. We were just talking this morning about how fun it is to like go to a pub in Ireland and hear like bands playing.
Yeah,
and
they
stuff.
have the live music.
And then we're like, well,
Yeah.
we probably won't see too much of that.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they're still doing it. Probably Derek and I wouldn't be going to like a big live music thing during the pandemic. But
Moshing around.
there could still be some people doing it. I don't know. Yeah. Mosh pits, I think, are a thing of the past, right? Are those
Even
over
before
now?
the pandemic, I'm guessing.
I feel like those should be done now.
Well, yeah, Bonnie's saying that she cruised all around Spain with stops in Portugal, Spain, and Gibraltar.
That is so cool.
That's really
I've
cool.
always
Gibraltar's a really cool spot.
Have you been?
Yeah, I've been there. So when you drive in, if you drive in from Spain, you actually drive across the runway to their airport, which is kind of odd. It's like you pass immigration, you cross a runway, and then you're into the town, which is
Yeah.
kind of fun. And you have to be careful because the monkeys on the Rock of Gibraltar will steal your stuff and throw it off the cliff. So
Yep.
don't let them
Yep.
do that.
And like mess with your hair and stuff, right?
Yeah,
I haven't been, but I've
One
heard.
of the people that
Monkeys are not cute. They're scary. They have claws.
yeah, one of the guys I was with, his camera got stolen and thrown off the mountain. So
Oh my gosh.
you wanna be careful.
Mhm. Okay. Wait,
Tyler
so
Hansen, welcome, bud.
Hey,
How you doing?
Tyler. So Mo is saying once things get back to normal, he wants to head to the Isle of Man by ferry from Belfast. That's really cool. I assume from Belfast. We would love to go to the Isle of Man, but I believe it's like not accepting visitors right now.
Where?
The Isle
That's
of Man.
one of the offshore,
Channel
like near
It's
Channel Islands, like New
between.
Jersey and Guernsey.
Yeah, all those.
No,
are not
Isle of
accepted.
Man is between Ireland and England, I believe.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
so they're not located, but it's one of the Channel Islands. I don't know.
No, I think it's in the Irish Sea.
Okay.
Now you're like
One of
making me
those,
second
like,
guess this.
One of those offshore places.
Hold on.
It's an island of something.
I'm pretty sure it's this one. Yeah, Isle of Man.
Oh,
It's
right.
up here.
Oh.
Sorry, guys.
I don't know where the other ones are, to be fair. I've heard of them,
I don't. Yes,
I know
don't
people
think
that live
it's
there.
Channel.
but I don't know where they are exactly.
And then Nick P says, I flew with British Airways from London to Heathrow to Dublin and back for £70 round trip. That's a really good deal. I know that they like have British Airways with the cheaper tickets often has like restrictions on can you choose your seat in advance or like how many bags you can take on and stuff like that. So we typically get, if we're flying BA, one ticket level up that lets me and Derek sit together at least, and just pay a little bit extra for that. Maybe if it was a lot extra, we would start to be like, well, do we need to sit together?
You can't put a price on love.
I mean, we both like when
You can't put a price on airplane cuddles, that's for sure. But also too, I like being able to like take my because I carry around a lot of gear when I travel. Like Catherine's can see it right now. I have like my lighting equipment, my microphone and stuff, and so I feel like I don't want to have to check all that. I like being able to have it on the plane with me.
Yeah. So Mo is talking about the Isle of Wight, and we plan to actually hopefully get to Isle of Wight next week, which would be really nice because it's a very short ferry ride from Portsmouth. It's like a 40-minute ferry. So.
Yeah, and
That'd be
we
fun.
are not staying at the Spice Girls bus after all. We've decided not to do that. But it was a tough call to make, that's for sure. Darian says for his recommendations, that would be awesome if COVID is over before you leave. I would surely visit you both on my next Germany trip. Yeah. And then Paul says monkeys steal things, so you give food in exchange for getting your stuff back. Not if it's thrown off the cliff, though. I think that's gone.
Huh. So travel with food. And keep that in your pocket. I guess.
Yeah.
So if they steal your bag, you have something to bargain with. It's good to know. It's good to know. I like it.
Nuremberg was my very first Christmas market as a child, and I will never forget my first time. So it sounds like everybody's saying Nuremberg. That seems like the consensus here.
Have you ever had spaghetti ice? Do you know what spaghetti ice is? Darian loves spaghetti ice.
Yes.
What is that?
So it's ice cream that's pressed to look like spaghetti.
Yeah.
So it comes out stringy.
Is it like Dippin' Dots?
No. No,
you mean
but
the
yes.
ice cream? You mean the ice cream of the future? Space ice cream?
I feel like that's like an offensive question.
So spaghetti ice, they basically take the ice cream, they press it through a thing so it comes out kind of like tubular, and then
But
they
it must
put
be really, really
then
cold.
they put
when
like
you do
jam. Yeah, then they put like jam on top, which is like a tomato. It looks like tomato sauce. So it looks like a bowl of
that.
spaghetti.
Oh,
But
it's
it's-
like strawberry jam.
Yeah, it's like a strawberry jam on top or something like that.
In Germany?
In Germany, yeah. And they call it
I've
spaghetti ice.
Never.
Yep, spaghetti
Interesting.
ice.
Spaghetti ice.
Darian loves
We'll
it.
have to go to Germany
Huh.
together whenever
Yeah,
we
yeah.
can. And
That would have to be really, really cold ice cream
yeah.
to get it to, I don't even know how you would do that as a civilian.
Well, Darian's made it at home, and I think he has a YouTube video about making spaghetti ice at home. So we'll have to figure out if there's like an extra freeze process. Great description, Eric. You are a pro. Wait, where is it?
What does Eric say?
Oh, Derek.
I think
I
you
bet
meant
you meant Derek. Yeah.
Oh, Derek.
Yeah. My goodness.
Yes, you do. So, I would love to try it. I've never tried spaghetti ice. I had never heard of it until, I don't know if we were talking about it on one of the Walter's World things or what it was, but we started talking about spaghetti ice, and I'm like, ew, who wants spaghetti on ice? That sounds gross.
It does.
And then I realized it's an ice cream thing. I'm like, oh, okay, that'd be yummy.
So
Yeah.
Purdue was saying from Southampton instead of Portsmouth, they do the Med cruises, which are like high-end, nice ones, and Atlantic cruises to New York. So I didn't realize. I mean, I guess I knew that there was like the QE2 and stuff like that, across the Atlantic ships, but I thought that had been discontinued. So I didn't even know.
Well, we had a professor
Like
in
right
college
now,
who did it.
probably.
Now,
I
yeah.
assume right, yeah.
But like, I thought. So I know, you know, in The Parent Trap where they talk about like the second one with Lindsay Lohan, and the parents take the boat across the Atlantic Ocean, and that's how they meet.
No.
Okay, well, you better turn that baby on.
I know what we're watching tonight. Parent Trap remake.
You better get up to speed. You have two sisters. How did you guys not watch this like literally every single day?
Every day.
I don't know. I guess I just was
We should have come over to my
I had a
house.
deprived childhood. No spaghetti ice.
I never had spaghetti ice either.
No Parent Trap 2.
Yeah.
Well, so we had a professor actually in college, the crafts. Remember the crafts, Eliz?
Mhm.
Every year they would go. So she's
They
French,
took a boat over.
and he would take a boat over because he wouldn't fly.
I did not realize that.
He
Wow.
he was like afraid
Hawaii
of
puts
flying.
beans in their shaved ice like a snow cone. Oh, so that's like Japanese or Korean or something, sort of like that. In Korea, they eat like shaved ice with like sweet
Like a red
condensed
bean.
milk over it with red beans. In Japan, they eat ice cream with red beans.
Yeah.
And mochi and
Yeah.
like crushed nuts. And they all share. So you'll see like 4 people who are friends who've gone out to get an ice cream, and they get a big one and they all share it because
Wow.
it's like what you do.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID. Now everybody
hopefully.
has
Yeah,
to their
now-
own.
Hopefully not right.
I don't think so.
Can we get individual containers, please?
I don't know. I mean,
Well, when we were in China, I do remember our tour guide. We were like, "Well, let's like get like a typical dessert," and she's like, "No, you don't want that." She's like, "Our dessert's not good." She was like, "It's like
She had
red
us
bean
get the red bean
bows."
bows.
And she even
Those are
told us,
fine.
she's like, "You're not gonna like it."
well, she basically said Americans don't usually like it because it's not sweet enough.
Yeah.
But we
They're,
still tried it. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't as sweet as a dessert we're
if
used
you're
to.
like craving a dessert as an American, it's not gonna.
It's not gonna scratch
it.
that itch.
But it is. That stuff is tasty. It's
Yeah.
just, it's not like your childhood memories of what dessert is.
right.
Yeah. You need
What's
to.
What's your
It's
favorite?
not like spaghetti ice.
What's your favorite candy here?
Ooh.
That is a good question because I don't generally like the candy here.
Really?
Can I
Cadbury?
think?
Compared to American candy, or
Yes.
just general?
So it's kind of gluey. Sorry to all the British people on here for this to become apparent, but like wine gums, ugh. They're all like, they stick to your teeth.
I don't know what a wine gum is.
They're gluey.
That reminds me of how
Is
I
it
would
like
describe
the pig
dots.
face things?
Yeah. My favorite candy here comes from Germany. It's anything that says Haribo on it is what I would buy
Haribo,
if
yeah.
I wanted candy.
Okay.
You don't do chocolate? You don't do like Cadbury or any of that?
No, I'll eat like dark chocolate. Cadbury, if I was, I don't know, really in the mood for like some, really sweet sugary chocolate, maybe, but that's unusual. Mostly the Haribo gummy bears are my favorite.
Yeah.
We-
I mean,
so-
you can't go wrong.
When we ordered from Ocado, we got some free candy that they sent us.
The Percy
Um,
pig ones.
The Percy
Oh
pig
yeah,
ones.
Yeah.
those are actually good.
We ate some of those. We were,
'Cause
we
I got-
were
Those are like fruit
informed.
I got some free ones
Yeah.
too, and I had never had them before, and I thought they were good.
Yeah. We were informed those are for children, but we still enjoyed
Yes.
them anyway. And we also got like
Oops.
their version of like a giant M&M. It was like
Oh, the buttons.
maybe.
No,
Started in M, I
no.
think.
It wasn't their version. It was a Galaxy chocolate, which is like a big.
It looked like a
brand here.
big M&M.
Yeah.
And they were all brown.
Kind of tasted like a big M&M too.
Never had it.
They were good. I liked them.
And producing Brits love their Air Puff chocolates. I don't even know what that is.
Like a flake. You know when you get those like little Mr. Whippies with like the flaky stick in it?
I don't know what
Oh,
it is.
no, yeah, no.
That's
soft
like
serve
the ice
cone.
cream truck, and they serve you like that
In New York.
creamy sort of soft servey
Oh, okay.
ice cream.
Yeah, and then it's the chocolate on top.
It's like a stick that has, it's like these
like a
really
wafer stick.
thin
Okay.
shaving
Yeah.
chocolate sort of thing.
Okay. Yes, I know what you're talking about now.
And they have chocolate with air bubbles in here. It's called like Aero Bubble or something like that.
Interesting.
It sounds like a way to just make you pay more.
I
for
don't know
less
if I've ever
chocolate.
had that actually. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, sounds like a ripoff.
Yeah. And they store chocolate in the fridge here, which is interesting.
Gareth remembered. It's called minstrels.
Maybe because they don't have air conditioning.
Is the chocolate that we minstrels.
they turn to chocolate to cool them down.
Yeah. Well, no, because it melts. In the
Yeah,
summer, if you bought
it
a chocolate
does.
bar, it would melt.
Baggy T says it's definitely worth to visit the Balearics Ibiza is a
Ibiza.
lovely island. Have you been there?
Mm-mm.
I feel like you and I are the kinds of people that would not flock to Ibiza.
Well, it's. I mean,
But
if you're.
is it pretty
it's-
too?
Supposed to
I
be.
don't know. It's
My
most.
knowledge is like a Vanda
it's
Boys
most-
song and
yeah.
like
It's most commonly known as a party destination for
Right.
young people.
young people.
Oh, those young people.
So, I have never done that.
Well, what's the other Spanish island over there?
If I'd been invited to go to Ibiza,
Mallorca.
Mallorca.
I would have done. Probably, but that did not
Just
occur.
didn't happen.
So,
Well, maybe someday we'll go to Ibiza.
yeah.
I feel like I sound so pretentious saying it that way. But
Ibiza.
Ibiza.
but that's how I do it.
Sevilla.
That's true.
Which Sevilla is
So Derek
awesome.
studied abroad
Love
in Sevilla, but everybody calls it Seville here.
Yes, they do.
Purdue. Ibiza is like Brighton with more sun.
Lots more sun. And probably a few more clubs, I would guess. But again, I haven't been there. I have been to Brighton.
DJs, more Molly.
I didn't spend the night in Brighton, but I know they have like a lot of bars. and
I've
clubs
never
there,
been
right?
there. Believe that
Never
or
been
not.
to Brighton at all.
Never.
Me neither.
I have once. Cause we were supposed to go 2 years ago.
And then the train
And then
didn't
the
work.
train decided that they were like gonna cancel all of the trains.
Like I was
that
talking about
day.
the train strikes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why.
Okay. Darian says, I don't want that kind of chocolate. Probably meaning the one with the air in it. I don't know. Paul Tipton, hey! And so Paul's also in the UK. So he says Cadbury's Double Decker or Wispa Gold chocolate bars. I've had Cadbury chocolate before. I've not tried Wispa Gold, so
No,
should add it to the list.
to be honest, I make a real effort to not eat chocolate.
Okay.
So like the more types of chocolate I learn that I would like, the harder it is to not eat chocolate.
Okay, so maybe
So, like,
I should stop reading this out loud.
You know, these are great recommendations, but I'm gonna consciously not try that on
You're gonna
purpose.
Consciously go back and forget this conversation. Well, as Americans, I mean, as Cadbury, you know, from my perspective, you know, I always think of Cadbury as the eggs, the Easter
Yes.
eggs.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I think of. You know,
I
for
do
a
get
lo-
one of those every year.
Yeah,
Just
for the longest time, I thought that was
out
the
of-
only thing that Cadbury made were Easter eggs. But you know, obviously, and those are
They
delightful.
expanded their portfolio
Those
a
are
bit
those
more.
are very very delightful.
They do need to make money outside of Easter.
Yeah.
It's our one money making time of the year.
And then Mo says there's a dessert in Iran called falaude. I'm pretty sure I just butchered that, so sorry about that. That reminds me of spaghetti ice. It's really refreshing and has rose water. Ooh, I do like rose
Falaude.
water.
Hmm.
Do you think I said that right? Falaude? I don't know.
Oh, it's
Maybe.
in Iran. Oh, nice.
No. Oh yeah, in Iran, yeah. And then I'm sorry, I'm totally jumping around because it kind of just like moves around a lot. Darian says, of course, German chocolate's good as well, probably on top of the
Yes,
Haribo's,
it is.
and probably
it is
pouring
good.
German chocolate into a bowl with the Haribo's could be a good combo, I think.
Interesting.
Have
I've
you ever
never
had
thought of that.
chocolate covered gummies? It's really
I've
good.
never heard of that.
I don't know like where I tried this, but maybe I feel like I remember there was like
That's something that an
chocolate-covered-
American would do.
Yeah, for sure.
Gummies good.
They're
Chocolate
like,
good.
they're like, can I dip this in chocolate and then batter it and deep fry it?
Did you ever have?
Let's find out.
I think it's called like Cup of Dirt or something like that, and it's like
Chocolate pudding with the Oreos
Oreos
and the gummy
and
worms.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's kind of
that's like a
that.
childhood snack.
Right. I think TGI
Okay.
Fridays served it for kids.
Worms and dirt. Yes, delicious.
Yeah, that's my jam. That's
I
a
do
good
feel
one.
like that's like the Joey Tribbiani of like candies. It's like remember the episode where Rachel like bakes like a shepherd's pie.
Oh
and
yes,
then this
mixed
meat pie.
with a trifle.
Yeah.
It's like this
"What's
is
not to
delicious.
like?" Steak, good.
Yeah.
Chocolate, good.
Yes.
So Thomas Reiser says, I love Arrow, but have a hard time finding the dark one, even though it's made in York. And then he went on to say, when you go back to Cincinnati, Jungle Jim's carries it, and Mariano's in Chicago. Oh, that's so good to know. So if we fall in love with it, when Derek and I try it, not Catherine, then we'll be able to get it. Catherine says, Arrow and Mid-Arrow, flakes and twirls, ice cream with flake is called 99. I didn't.
Oh, is that what that is? There's always yeah, they always say it on the side of the ice cream trucks, but it costs more than 99 pence. So
So
it's a bit
poor marketing.
yes.
Inflation will really
Misleading.
get you.
Yeah.
And real quick, Mark, welcome, Mark.
Welcome, Walter's World, Mark and Jocelyn.
Hope
I
you
don't know
guys
if
are
you're
having
back.
fun.
Definitely, you're welcome on the Nebraska Help. And thanks for joining. So, for anybody who's new, this is my friend Catherine that Derek and I are staying with here in Greenwich, and right outside London. And we have her on today because she is an American expat living here. She's lived here for 10 years. And so we thought it'd be fun if anybody had questions about expat life here in the UK, or her experience, or just her general recommendations for like what to do and see and eat when you visit here. Maybe she might have some good thoughts.
So wait,
if
sticky
you
toffee
have
pudding.
questions, definitely put them in there.
So back to the sticky toffee pudding. I remember you said Patty's. Is that the name of the place that you were?
Hoppies.
Hoppies. Any others?
There is good sticky toffee pudding
Like
at a lot of
everywhere?
places.
What about Gordon Ramsay's places? Because we know there are some people that love their stuff. Love his stuff.
he has such a range of restaurants at different price points
Mm.
that it's hard to generalize.
Okay.
I do know people have gone to the super fancy ones
Mm.
and been very impressed.
And how
There was one in like by St. Paul's. I don't know if it's still there, called
Mm.
Bread Street Kitchen, which was
That's
good.
supposed to be a top one actually, in London.
It was not fancy and not expensive. It's just like a
It's
normal
like
restaurant.
£8.50 or something like that. I think.
Yeah.
How much should you pay for sticky toffee pudding? It's like less than 10 quid.
Whatever it costs at a place that you think it's gonna be good. I mean, it's not gonna be more than it's not gonna be a crazy price.
Okay.
But like, I would never, personal choice. I would never be like, this sticky toffee pudding is £9 and this one is £7, but the £9 one looks better. I'm gonna get the £7 one because it's like, well, how many, how many?
Just get the one that looks good.
Yeah, how many times are you gonna have it?
On this trip, I don't know. We'll have a tally going somewhere.
Yeah, but restaurant choice is a very complex topic because it depends, where you're staying, where else you're going that day, what else you're in the mood for,
Yeah.
what's your budget, where has reservations open, or where you can get seated. It's like,
There's
you have a lot of things to think about.
variables, Yes.
Oh, something that people should do in London that you might not have. So everyone hears about, fish and chips and Indian food and et cetera, but there's actually some very nice Spanish food
Mhm.
in the city, like nice tapas places.
Yeah.
Nicer than some places you might go to in Spain if you don't know where you're going, basically.
Cool.
So
Well,
yeah, there's some
Is there a
good
big
food.
Spanish population that like kind of runs it, or
Yes, yeah, I think so.
okay?
Yeah.
So actually, there's the place that I really like going to, and we've gone to multiple times now, called El Parada in the Mayfair area, which is
Yeah.
a really good Spanish tapas place.
And you have a
Oh,
tapas
Which is
place
really
around
good.
that area too that you like.
More
right?
like that one might be Mayfair, but the old one was Soho. So there's this place called Sabor,
Yes.
Which means
is
flavor.
yes. And it used to be, the chef there used to work at this one called Barafina in Soho, which was like, yeah, I mean,
That's awesome.
those were my two favorite tapas places, and I'd been to many places in Spain.
I love when the tapas have like the bacon wrapped dates.
Ooh, that
Yeah,
is
yeah.
so good.
Oh,
We had
they're
those at
so
our wedding. They were
delicious. We did.
Real quick, Mark, tell Liam and Kathy we say hello.
Yes. Hi, Liam. Hi,
Um,
Kathy. He says Jocelyn's on Caleb duty. So I'm drinking a cider. I'm drinking a Thatcher's Gold. Out of a cup from, I believe, Catherine's husband said this is from Wyoming. No,
Oh.
Montana. So we're combining cultures here tonight.
And I am drinking a London Lager by Meantime, which is a local Greenwich microbrewery that is owned by, I was just looking this up, they were bought by like SAB Miller or whatever it's called back in like 2015, and then rebought by Asahi or whatever,
Asahi,
in 2016 because of the InBev deal. So it's really good. It's actually really tasty, and the brewery is like half a mile up the block or something. It's really good.
Yep.
I like that you guys just say InBev like
Like
as if
people know what that is.
means, which
Sorry,
I know what it is because
InBev
I'm
is a big beer
They're
house.
big like beverage
it's
conglomerates.
Coors,
yeah, it owns
InBev,
like
it
all
owns
these
all
big
that.
beer companies and stuff. And then Purdue says London Duck and Waffle is a very highly recommended restaurant, and we have that starred actually on our maps.
No, it's a very high restaurant.
Oh, he does say.
By that, it's like up on the top of a skyscraper in
Oh,
the city
okay.
of London.
Interesting.
I actually have never been there, but it is a very highbrow
Don't
place
people go
to
there
get
for
drunk
brunch?
food.
Don't
Do
people
you
go
get
Also-
drunk
for brunch?
food?
Yes, people go there for drunk food. Like if they're, feeling really fancy.
If you were
Um,
drunk, why
Drunk
would
and
you want to
fancy.
like get in an elevator and go really high up?
I mean, not everyone wants to have a kebab. I don't know.
Some people just want to spend a lot more.
Yes,
Do you
the boat ride
kebab?
up to Greenwich, Purdue is talking about, that is really nice. And we took our daughter on the boat in her stroller when she was really young, and went around when my sister visited, like
Nice.
walked around London.
It's a pretty
That's
good way
lovely.
to see like the sights of London too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we made the mistake of, we took an Uber here from like
Central
Tower
London.
Bridge area, and looking back, we definitely should have taken the water ferry, because we left during like rush hour, so we were in like massive traffic, and it would have been significantly shorter. We found out if we'd taken the ferry, and probably about the same price. We did have bags, which made it a little bit easier, but want to get out on that water, so.
Yeah, we'll have to do it.
And they
some
actually
point.
tell you about what you're seeing on the different banks of the river, and
Oh, there's like a guy with a microphone.
I think it depends which one. I think there's a commuter one, and there's like a.
I've done.
But
the
I'm not
one
sure. I don't know exactly.
When we went to the Prime Meridian before you moved out here, we did a boat from Westminster
Yeah.
to here.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And I think it was a
beautiful.
tourist one. I think
Yeah.
it was like they kind of give you the whole
But
lay of the land. if
What's
you
really
will.
cool is that you can take the Uber one, so there's an Uber Thames Clipper type ferry type thing, and you can use your Oyster card.
Yep. Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
cool.
And pro tip: never throw out your Oyster card.
Oh, yeah,
that
totally.
thing is gonna be as old as you.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't expire. And like we came back and Derek still had like 13 pounds on his Oyster
Yeah.
card from last time he was here.
Yeah.
So pro tip: don't get rid of those, because if you think you're gonna come back, I don't know what the charge is. I don't know if it's like £5.
I think it's £5.
Yeah, it's like £5 to get a new one every time. So if you can like save that money and just pay it one time, it's
Yeah.
well worth it.
I've had my same Oyster card since I studied abroad here in 2009, and yeah, I just keep reloading it.
Lost one in the mix, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice to have.
Yep, it is, and especially if you like are getting on the train straight from Heathrow, because you can take the subway all the way from Heathrow to central London, which is great.
I think you can order those in advance, right? And
The
Or-
Oyster card?
or can you not do that?
I think you can. I definitely did when I studied abroad. But yeah, I think they'll arrive at
'Cause
your
it's a
house.
bit
But
annoying,
you have to pay to
Like waiting in a train station when you've like just got off a plane and you're like tired and blah
Yeah.
blah.
It's a little bit easier if you take the Heathrow Express,
Okay.
and then at Paddington, and you pick up your Oyster card for the subway at Paddington Station.
Hmm.
You can also order Heathrow Express tickets in advance too.
Well, you can do all that stuff online. They have an app, and you can,
Yeah.
put the passes in your Apple Wallet, and
And you save a lot of money by buying them in advance. You just have to bank on the fact that your train or your plane is going to land on time. Because otherwise, you have to reserve, like, in order to get the cheapest ticket, you have to reserve an actual time for your train.
oh right, okay, yeah,
So-
that's risky.
Yeah.
That's pretty risky. And then you get in early, and then
You
of
kind of
course
have
you
to
get in
weigh,
early.
like, what time of year is it? Where am I flying from?
And knowing our luck, we'd get in like an hour early, and we'd be waiting.
Yeah,
It just
that's
sucked.
another thing that could happen.
So Catherine Hegarty is saying her favorite cider is Kopperberg cider, strawberry/lime flavor, and the pear flavor. So that's interesting. So
Yep.
Mo is telling us
You
the
had me
world's.
to have a pear flavored
Yes,
cider.
Copperberg.
It was Copperberg. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It was
I've been
felt
told it is
fancy.
like the champagne of ciders,
yeah. Somebody in
which
this
is very tasty.
Yeah.
on this live
Somebody
stream
here.
maybe made that comparison.
But yeah, Mo is telling us that the oldest whiskey distillery is in Bushmills, Northern Ireland, but it's unfortunately currently closed at the moment, which is a shame.
Mhm.
And Thomas is telling us that that is owned by InBev as well.
The oldest one. Interesting. I don't love whiskey, but I have promised Derek that we are going to go on a whiskey distillery tour at some point during this trip.
So when we did our
Hmm.
big Scottish road trip, I was like, we're doing a whiskey tour. Then somehow we never did a whiskey tour.
Yeah.
And I blame Eliz.
What?
I'm sure some reason it was my fault, but I don't want to take full credit. I don't know. But yeah, we didn't do a whiskey tour in Scotland, and Derek was really upset. So I've actually been to a distillery in Scotland.
I
which
know.
Makes him
She does
upset.
all these things without me. She's gone to like brewery tours, like
Yeah.
come
yeah.
on.
I am kind of the worst when it comes to that. So I don't drink beer. I don't drink whiskey, and I just have to suck it up and do it because I love my husband.
We were in Amsterdam in March and we walked right by the Heineken factory and I'm like, we could do the Heineken tour and she's like, nah. I'm like, ah.
Well,
I've
to
done
be
that.
fair, we
It was-
were going to do the
it was
Heineken
okay.
tour, but then we had to go back to America
No,
urgently.
Yeah.
that's kind of true.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
like
there was
that
a
was on
little-
the agenda.
There was a pandemic that happened.
But then we had to leave the Netherlands. Anyway, then Purdue said when we were there in 2011, the Cutty Sark had burned to the timbers, but now it's restored. I actually didn't
Oh,
know.
wow, I
that
did not
either.
know that.
Yep.
Wow.
If you-
It looks.
Had ever gone to the Cutty? They talk about it a lot.
Didn't go. Do they still have tours right now? Do you know?
I don't know.
I saw people.
It's
on
pretty
it.
crowded. Like it's very small,
Mhm.
so it wouldn't be like my first choice.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
an old boat.
I saw people
And
on
when I
deck
did go on a tour
yesterday.
there, I got sick. So,
Huh.
you know, coincidence?
I think not.
I wasn't sick before I got on the Cutty Sark.
Yes,
but-
I know I got sick from the Cutty Sark.
Oh,
because that's the
really?
only place I went because I had a child.
Oh no. Wait, did your
No,
child get sick?
she did not. So the only place I went other than, you know, my house was the Cutty Sark.
Yeah, so Catherine was like in maternity leave for like right before all the pandemic starts, so she's had a lot
Extra
of
lockdown.
she's had a lot of lockdown.
Alright, so Catherine Hegarty wants to know, Catherine, if you like the Weatherspoon restaurants. She says they have very nice breakfast.
I have been to Weatherspoon restaurants. I don't eat breakfast out usually because I don't go in public before coffee.
Nice.
Logical. Carry on.
Apart from today, but I had already had coffee.
Yeah, we actually ended up. Derek and I bought coffee from a
The
very
market, the
cool
Greenwich Market.
stand at Greenwich Market, really close to here. That we just kind of meandered through yesterday as we were exploring Greenwich.
It was chocolate
And
mint.
yeah, so the stand in there sells all flavored coffees. There are a few that are just like regular coffees too, but like they have tons of different flavors. So we bought one that was called chocolate mint because we were like, that sounds amazing. It sounds like a peppermint mocha. But it's not
Smells a little
necessarily.
bit like a thin mint.
Tastes more like Thin Mints
Yeah, and the aroma is a lot stronger, I feel,
than the taste.
than the
Yeah.
taste.
The taste is
is
fairly mild.
coffee-esque.
Very good.
Um,
I liked it. That was nice.
yeah, no, I'm gonna have it again for sure.
Worth £4 or whatever.
But it was super good. And there was like vanilla, there was hazelnut, there was just lots of choices. So we recommend going to that stand if you guys make it to Greenwich Market. They have a lot of really cool gifty things that are more unique there. Like you're not gonna just find like the London souvenirs.
Yeah, there's like a little antiques market next to it as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And it might have different hours
Yeah.
or whatever.
We
And it's
passed
not
by
like
that.
super expensive stuff, but it's just like trinkety
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, we didn't walk through there the other day, but it looked really cool.
Yeah, we walked past. There was people there. And the reason why we didn't walk in, I think, just because there were people there, and we were like,
Yeah.
oh.
It looked.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
it looked,
narrow.
It looked
Yeah.
more. Yeah, it looked a lot more dense than
It
the
is.
other one was. The
Yeah.
other one, it was like, okay, I feel okay in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one was a little tight. So Purdue is saying that you can actually get a cash refund at Heathrow for your Oyster card,
Oh,
which
is
I
it?
was not aware of.
Oh, so that way
Um,
you don't have to like go home with. But
Money on it.
then if you go
Yeah.
back to London
Just
after,
get one.
then you have to.
Reload it.
So what he's saying is there's no downside because you get cash refund and then just get a new one when you come. That way, if you don't come back, you're not losing money. I would say there is something about the ease of already having it and not having to worry about.
Yeah.
All you have to do is top it up, you know, if that's what you're left with. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
I get that.
Yeah, I think I'm still gonna be taking mine home versus trying to get the cash refund. But he does say there is.
Well,
no
you guys don't have
downside.
Apple Pay, do you? Do you have Apple Pay?
We might.
In the
Like,
US
we
you
could
do.
probably make it work.
Like with your debit card?
Yeah.
Okay. Because you
I've
can
never tried
go on anywhere that you use your Oyster card, you can use your Apple Pay instead.
oh, I did not know that.
So,
Yes.
That's really
It's
cool.
the same.
so you could leave your Oyster card at home, just bring your phone.
Yes.
Huh.
I
You
wouldn't.
just need to have data access at the time.
No,
You
you
don't?
don't. You
Okay.
don't. But if your phone dies or
Yeah, that
something.
would be tough.
Which I have found that my battery has been dying quicker and quicker, and I think that's because they're about to launch a new Apple
Yeah,
product.
new Apple products coming.
Yeah.
Those bastards. Vega Bonnie says now she wants oysters, so that's fun.
The oyster corner.
Or at least oyster crackers. You know, those are
I
fun
do
too.
love oysters. We saw a stand, I believe it was at Greenwich Market, selling fresh oysters.
Oh,
yesterday.
right. Huh.
That would have been really nice.
Did look pretty nice.
Greetings, Mark Finley. He says he's home from church now. Thank you so much for joining after you came back. So if anybody else is new, we're here with my friend Catherine, who Derek and I are staying with this weekend in Greenwich, outside of London. And she is an American expat living here for the past 10 years. And so we brought her on because we thought some of you guys might have some questions about like London recommendations.
Well,
or
there's
expat
actual British people in the chat.
and there are British people in the chat that
Not
are
that I'm not
fact-checking
British.
her.
Yeah. Not that I'm not British,
Yeah.
but
I feel like
British born.
this time, so we used to do things on Thursday nights, which like U.S. time, so
Yeah.
we didn't
Yeah,
have
yeah,
too many
yeah.
British people join.
Well, I only joined the
Um,
one because of that.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
we did Sundays. I think you joined a Sunday one back
Yeah.
in like May or something like that. So we didn't do Sunday live streams all summer until we got here, and then we switched it back to the Sunday time.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're doing it this time every day or every week.
Okay.
Sundays at 4 British time. Britain
EST,
Standard.
British Standard Time.
Bit-
I think it's
Greenwich
BST
Mean
right
Time.
now.
GMT, Greenwich Mean Time.
Yeah. Me.
Well, we're not on
Mean
GMT
time.
right this
Yes.
moment, are we?
No, technically,
Aren't we like 1 hour?
we're not on GMT.
Yeah.
Because it's like daylight savings time or whatever right now.
Um,
They change. Okay, so I looked this up, and apparently there was like a new change to how everybody in the world measures
talks
time
about time.
now.
What?
That happened like a few years ago, and so
I'm at the epicenter of this, and I never even.
and so I always, growing up in the Midwest, growing up in Chicago, always all year thought I was on Central Standard Time, and now apparently I'm either during the winter time on
CDT.
Central Standard Time or on Central
Daylight.
Time
Hmm.
in the summertime.
CDT or CST.
Okay.
And so CST like changes to something else.
Oh.
It's so confusing.
I just call it London time, New York time,
Yeah.
Chicago time.
Yeah.
That sort of covers it.
Yep.
So Gareth is saying that in London he really likes buying his coffee from Monmouth Coffee
Yes,
Company.
that is good.
Is that really good?
Yes, that is down by like, so you know Borough Market
Yeah.
in like near London Bridge area.
Mhm.
So Borough Market has become very crowded. And
Yeah.
then when I lived down there, there was this, at the time it was like the new cool place that all the edgy people went, and now everyone goes there.
Right.
It's called Maltby Market.
Okay.
And Monmouth had a lot of presence down there. I think they are based down that way.
Wait, sorry. Where did you say it was?
Maltby
Maltby Market.
Maltby Market, which is in Bermondsey, which is, it's close to Borough Market.
Right. But like, we passed through it. I know on our way here, so it's like
So it's like
a little bit further southeast,
behind,
right?
if you were like at London Bridge Station and you walked behind it, like
Mhm.
away from the river, that would be sort of around that general area.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I used to live there, and back in the day that used to be an edgy place to go. But now I think everyone knows about it, and you know,
Yeah.
I'm not quite as cool by talking about it.
I mean,
Yeah, our
I look at
taxi
you and I think
driver-
edgy. So.
Oh, thanks. Why, thank you.
Kidding.
Hey, she lived in Shoreditch for a long time. Okay?
I was like one of the, you know, the old people who can afford the rent, and it was like, you know, walking home in my business clothes.
Carry on.
Super hipster.
Carry on, young people.
Yes.
So that was actually that's kind of the area that our bus driver or not our taxi driver
yeah.
was kind of warning us.
One thing
about,
that was very noticeable so we took a taxi and we took an Uber in London. And the taxi driver just wanted to talk
Super
our ear
chatty.
off. So if you are looking for a free tour guide, but not really free, like he's still driving you around for a price.
High price.
For a high price, yeah.
Take a taxi. Your
Yeah.
Uber driver is not likely going to be as like, and here's this place. And
Yeah.
our taxi driver's like, this is where I was born.
No, that
this
said,
is where you shouldn't go. This is where you should. And so.
Yeah, that said, our taxi driver in Portsmouth was chatty, but it was more about politics, which was still interesting. And the guy, the cabbie here, was more about like, oh, I was born on that street. And that was kind of fun. And he's like, back in the day, it was a rougher place. You know, I grew up in like the state homes or whatever it's called, council housing.
Yeah.
So that was pretty interesting.
But he definitely had he wanted to talk to us, and so that was very noticeable about the difference between the taxi and the Uber experience.
And he gave us great tips because we told him that.
By the way, did they change the siren sounds here over time? Because that sounds like an American siren, and when I lived here, it did not sound like that.
I don't know.
Interesting question. No, so
if anybody knows, let me know, because it definitely used to be like.
So the taxi cab driver did give us really good insight.
I think
about,
that's the royal ambulance.
When you're.
I said a lot of royals.
The Queen, no.
A lot of royals went in an ambulance.
You did live by Kensington.
That's true. I lived right by Kensington Palace when I studied here.
So no, but the thing that he was telling us about was like when you're driving, especially in London or around the big cities, is that they are very, very serious about their speed limits. So do not go over the 20-mile-per-hour speed limit in cities and whatnot, because they will track you down and give you a ticket. So
they will hunt you down.
Yep.
They have CCTV here everywhere. A lot of times it's probably broken, but in theory, you could be watched at any time.
Yeah.
He was basically like Liam Neeson. It will be like Liam Neeson. I have a very particular set of skills, and they're to give you a ticket.
So Purdue says Apple Pay is the best, but in 2017 it required cell phone service, and in the subway it did not work. But today, somehow, it works without cell phone service. Oyster cards are going away, they announced, I think. Is that true? Maybe it's just with your phones.
I pay
that
with my
is new
phone.
news.
Yeah.
So maybe there is a downside to bringing your Oyster card home now.
You lose whatever you have on it.
Yeah, we gotta...
We should get the refund then.
We gotta do some research on that one, that's for sure. And then Mo says, I use Apple Pay to use the buses in London. Have my Tesco Club card, debit cards, and Amex in it. You can pay over £30 because you're using your biometrics, fingerprint, face.
Yes.
Or a beer or anything.
That's cool.
I'll take a beer. Why
Beer.
not? Yeah.
So, is it because you have to open the phone with your face, or
It's your fingerprint.
is it?
Yeah.
No way. But
You
could
don't,
I
like,
just
touch
pick up
ID?
your phone and be like,
No.
but you have to put your fingerprint down?
I have to put my fingerprint on to use my debit card.
Okay.
Your fingerprint will not work on my
Right.
phone.
No. That makes sense. But when you're using it for the subway, do you have to put your fingerprint down?
Yes. You have to go like this, or your pin. But if that's a good point. If your Touch ID doesn't work very well and you need to put your pin in, don't go in a commuter time of day because they will glare at you.
Yeah, I'm sure. But it's your fingerprint on your cell phone.
Yeah, like the little,
sense?
the little dot area
Yeah,
where you put your fingerprint.
Well, no, because I have an iPhone X. But
So if you click that, double click it. I mean, I love the iPhone 6. It's wonderful. I don't
iPhone
need
6
another.
for life.
Yeah, I don't feel a need to get a much more overpriced iPhone. You know?
They're like on 12 now. They've literally doubled it.
Yeah, but I mean, so the iPhone 10 was £1,000.
Yeah, I know.
Is the iPhone 12 at £1,200? I mean, come on, people. I mean, for you.
You heard it here, guys.
For you, maybe it's a little bit different because your livelihood is about technology, essentially.
Yeah.
But for me, I mean, Google Maps, Apple Pay, Gmail app, my work BlackBerry app,
Yep.
um,
BlackBerry app?
photos.
Tell me more.
They have a BlackBerry work app.
What?
What? You don't know this?
Who
So
still uses BlackBerry stuff?
everyone.
I'm sorry, everybody. This is not travel
A
related.
lot of
unless
people,
it's British.
a lot of
but-
people use this app. So their comeback is not to have phones, but to have this thing called a BlackBerry Work app, and that's where you get your work emails
Oh. Yeah.
on your personal device.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Go BlackBerry.
Yeah. A much less lucrative business, probably.
Yeah, well, I mean, your company picked it up, so
People are talking about
Maybe come
iPhone types. I don't know. People may have opinions.
yeah. Garrett says I miss BlackBerry. When I lived here, we were talking about this last night. I had like one of those primitive like BlackBerry knockoffs that still had a keyboard.
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
it was like
Like the Palm
massive,
Pilot thing.
and I think it had a stylus. And that's what I used to get around London and make phone calls to my friends. It like didn't even fit in most of my purses. It's so big.
Yeah.
BBM for life. Holy cow! That's a throwback reference for me. iPhone 12 will be announced in a couple of weeks. Yep. iPhone SE is $399. Touch ID still A13 chip, very fast. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, something like more like affordable like that. Because to me, I'm like, that amount of money is something that I could, for all these travelers, you could go on a nice holiday for that amount of
Yeah,
money.
for sure.
So, I don't know. I don't know. But I don't like
yeah.
technology.
So Catherine isn't really on social media.
Thank you.
And you try to kind of keep it
Yeah.
pretty
Well,
easy with
I
technology.
mean, I am on a computer all day.
Yeah.
Why would I be on a computer really all day?
Bonnie, who's from Canada, says BlackBerry was famous for their secure servers. So she clearly has BlackBerry knowledge that I don't have. I guess this is all making sense to everybody.
Well, maybe that's why they still have like the app, because they need to have some sort of good security on it.
Yeah.
For everyone's work emails.
Yeah, and there's a producer saying yes, BlackBerry security was good. I think Obama had one. He did. I know that like everybody in Washington D.C. had a BlackBerry up until like only a couple of years ago. I feel. And
right.
Derek's company, Derek, had a BlackBerry through work up until probably 2017 or something like that. I think his first work iPhone was an iPhone 8.
That would make sense.
Yeah. So.
Did he have the BlackBerry Work app?
Well, now he's back. So.
Do you have the BlackBerry Work app on your iPhone that you had for work?
No.
Yeah, I don't think he did. But then so when did your company switch from BlackBerry to iPhone? It was like 2016 or 2017, right? It was much later than BlackBerry, kind of.
No. It was probably 20. So I joined 2013, something like that.
You got an iPhone in 2013?
Probably.
Oh, then don't listen to me. I don't know. I guess I'm losing my mind. I thought it was way more recent than that.
Because I think I only had two. It might have been 2014, but I only had two Blackberries.
Yeah, BlackBerry. Oh, BlackBerry was Canadian. Is it no longer Canadian?
It's still Canadian. It's still a company.
It
Yeah.
still exists.
Yeah, it still exists.
Like I said,
but
all
they
my
don't do
work
phones.
emails come through.
Yeah.
They're more of a software company.
Okay, so
now.
speaking
Yeah.
of travel-related things about secure servers, Derek and I finally invested in a VPN here. So we have a VPN now. We can actually access like American things, but it took us 2 weeks to really figure that to make that change.
Yeah, it's good. And you just feel a little bit safer, accessing email and all that.
Thomas says he calls his phone the portable reference department. Yeah. Definitely super handy to be able to look up like anything that comes up while you're on the go. And like Wikipedia, anything, and
Yeah.
we were talking about some show last night. We were like Wikipediaing stuff.
you debate things with your friends, and you used to probably descend into quite a nasty debate, and like now you're like, well,
Let's just
I'm
look it
sure
up,
I
yeah.
can just look this up in like 5 seconds.
Exactly.
Well, because we did a whole thing on like looking up what movies came out the year you were born, and so we did a whole lot of that last night, which was a lot of fun. Seeing what years were good and not so good for movies, which was nice.
So I just want to go backwards for a second because I missed this from Catherine before. So she said, Catherine Haggerty says, canal boat tours and waterways. Avon Ring, Leeds to Liverpool, to name a few. Also Scottish and Welsh boat tours if you have time. Great way to see and explore places.
Oh, cool.
And we've never done that in any of the times that we've been to either Scotland or Wales.
Well, that's not true. In Carnarvon, we did a little boat tour.
Oh, you are right. Yeah.
It was short,
It was short.
but it was nice. Very nice.
What?
It's a Welsh place.
Carnarvon. It's right by Conway Castle.
What?
In like Llandudno in the north. So, alright, so it's part of like the castle fortifications that Edward Longshanks built, and Carnarvon Castle.
King Edward the First.
Alright, so remember Braveheart?
Yes.
Remember the evil king? That's him.
Oh, okay.
That guy. But no, so what ended up
Now
that one.
So he built this castle.
Remember the
at my
villain
level.
for Braveheart? No, so Carnarvon Castle is where Prince Charles was made the Prince of Wales.
Oh,
He
yeah,
was
okay.
prince there.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true.
Like from
Yeah,
The
it is.
Crown.
Is it Carnarvon?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
I thought
in
it
The
was
Crown.
a different Welsh
Yeah, in the
castle.
Crown. Like in the Crown.
In the Crown.
Remember that show?
Do you remember when?
I'm like,
Do you remember when he learned?
like, you're gonna have to go another level down.
And what's cool about
Do you remember
Carnarvon?
when you turned on Netflix and then pressed The Crown?
I'm like, I don't know about all this social media. What is Netflix?
What I will say about Carnarvon Castle is very cool, and it was inspired by Istanbul, because I guess Edward Longshanks had done like some pilgrimage, and he went to Constantinople or whatever, and he wanted them to do something similar for this, which was going to be like one of his crown jewel castles. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
It's
it is
pretty
Does
really
it have
pretty.
like gold mosaic stuff?
No,
it's
it's
more in the
definitely more of a
walls.
ruin than
It's more
that
ruined.
kind of
Yeah,
thing.
it's more ruined now, but it's the walls are kind of like banded, and I guess Constantinople, their walls around the city used to be kind of like banded and different colored, like marble, and so to get a similar effect, they did like different colored granite or whatever to give that kind of banded effect.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's neat.
But there's like this castle historian that did tours along
Yeah, that was really neat.
all through Carnarvon Castle, and yeah, it was really cool.
Well, and he also gave the Welsh perspective on
Mhm.
castles, which is that the castle is like the symbol of the oppressor type of thing, because the castles weren't Welsh; they were English, right? It was the way for the English to project their power and keep the Welsh people down, and so they don't necessarily have the greatest respect for them, and so maybe instilling the Prince of Wales in Carnarvon Castle in this like symbol of royal authority and all this stuff is not the best thing to do. So it is very interesting.
Yeah. Purdue says Carnarvon is where they do the Prince of Wales. And then Gareth, who's Welsh, is chiming in here. Maybe you could go to Harlech Castle this time, or Balmeris. Yeah, we'd love to do that.
Yeah, Conway's cool. We
We
went
did
to
go to
Conway.
Conway. We went because we stayed in Llandudno for several nights, and then we went to Conway and Carnarvon from
Yeah,
there.
Llandudno is really cool. That's like one of those like Victorian type towns with like the pier and promenade.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's actually it's where the guy who did Alice in Wonderland did a lot of writing. So if you go there, there's a bunch of like Alice in Wonderland statues like scattered throughout the parks and stuff. So I'm sure your daughter would love it. Actually,
Yeah,
It'd be
and
kinda
it's
cool.
just north of like Snowdonia National Park, so you can do day trips there too. If you guys are interested.
It's pretty neat.
We're hopefully gonna go, but it'll be like
Yeah.
late November, so I'm curious to see the difference between If
When
you
it's,
go
like,
in
at a certain
August.
time. Yeah.
And then like November.
We thought it wasn't necessarily warm then.
No,
It's
it was
probably much
definitely cold
colder.
in
Yeah.
August. So cold and rainy then. Yeah, hold on, let me show it.
Beaumaris
Beaumaris is
isn't
close
far
to,
from
and it's that.
Lan Farpugli.
You got it. That's it. And so that's the name of a Welsh town that is like the longest town name I think in the world or something like that, and it's actually a full word.
Can you pronounce it on air?
All right. No.
Clanfair, then I lose it. I know the double O's like
And
that.
what's extra tough is like this is so teeny tiny for us. We're
Yeah, yeah.
always squinting at the at the chat.
Old people.
I do love this. Gareth was saying
people.
it took forever to type that because autocorrect was going crazy.
But even in Wales, your autocorrect won't recognize that word.
That's funny.
So Gareth, I believe, is in because he's in Cardiff, and I think Cardiff's in more of like a lockdown situation right now.
Yeah. So Gareth, we'd actually love to hear from you on Wales and everything, and your view on the local lockdowns. If you think that those are going to continue, or kind of extend to all of Wales or not.
Yeah.
And whether that's had a major impact on you personally, we'd love to hear that.
Absolutely. Because we were pretty glad that we didn't decide to quarantine there, because it sounds like they didn't want people to leave either.
Yeah.
So, then Catherine was saying SkyPro Samsung 4G 5G unlocked, dual SIM card, has GSM code. Okay, this is getting really techy. Meaning you can use the phone all over the world for $50 a month, unlimited calls. That's awesome. Yeah, we had to research a lot of like travel cell phone opportunities. We ended up buying a Skyroam with 5G access to internet, but we haven't tried it out yet. We haven't needed it yet.
Yeah, when we leave here to go to Kent, we'll activate it for the first time.
Yeah. And we're also gonna see if our TomTom works for SatNav. And then Catherine Haggerty said,
Did you download the UK maps?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So you have those.
Carnarvon Castle, North Wales, late 11th century, King Edward I, Mott and Bailey, we now call moat, Viking word. Yeah. So she knows about her castles. And Thomas says, I've been through Lanfair. That was my attempt. On the train before, and platform sign is huge. So when we were taking the trains around Wales, I saw a sheep get on the platform. And I believe I took a picture of it, but it was with
That was in Snowdonia.
Yeah, that's in
That was
Snowdonia.
absolutely
And it was so funny. It's like, oh, okay. Did they buy a ticket or?
It goes into the first class.
Sir, you
Yeah.
didn't buy a ticket.
Sir, you're not first class. You're gonna need to get that.
Right. It was very, very cool. I do remember it being quite rainy, like drizzly and stuff. Especially when we were in Bettisacoed, which was kind of like the jumping off point for Snowdon for us.
Yeah. It was fun to be traveling because we took only public transit around Wales. We did not drive, so we took trains and buses. It was cool to see everything from that. Gareth says the local lockdowns aren't too bad. They're not being policed properly, so they seem a bit pointless. We can still go about normal everyday things like shopping in the gym, just can't technically leave our counties. However, as I say, it isn't policed, so not sure how many are adhering to the policies.
And you say the parts in northern Wales are now under local lockdowns, but Anglesey and Gwynedd are still open, so that's pretty cool.
Okay.
Because Anglesey would be really cool. Is that the island off of Wales?
Yeah, that's the one.
Where the Druids did their stuff?
Our boat tour kind of passed by the
Yeah.
Isle of Anglesey, yeah.
Yeah, and Gwynedd is like one of those like ancient Welsh kingdoms and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's where isn't that where one of the princes of Wales was from or something like that? Like the last prince of Wales, I think.
Perhaps.
Nerd alert. I know, I'm a nerd,
Yeah,
Catherine. I get it.
I'm like, I only know one Prince of Wales.
The last true Prince of Wales. Now I'm
yeah.
looking it up.
So, did you watch The Crown?
Yes.
Okay, because apparently there are more, and they like call Prince Charles out on it too, in The Crown. I don't know that that happened in real life.
Oh.
Yeah.
That must have been, how many seasons are there? I
Clive
watched
went
3 seasons.
It was it was during the same episode where he gets.
I don't
goes to
remember
Wales.
that.
Okay. Gary says I'll take a look at the up-to-date data with the R number and let you know if they seem likely to be locked. I'm hoping that because it's kind of 2 months from now, roughly, that we're looking at being there. Maybe more like a month and a half. I'm hoping that it would actually have lifted a few lockdowns by then.
I was right, by the way, and Gwynedd is where the last Prince of Wales was from.
There you go. You're so smart. You are. No, you are. Paul says I've done rafting on the Whitewater Rapids in Llangollen.
That sounds cold.
Yeah. But probably really pretty, because all of Wales is really pretty. And Catherine says, if you make it to the Peaks District, do visit Beatrix Potter's house. I read so many Peter Rabbit books when I was in Beatrix Potter books when I was a kid. Hilltop, also visit Chatsworth House and Gardens. Pride and Prejudice was filmed there, within the same area. The Pride and Prejudice with Colin Firth? Important question.
Yeah.
Which rendition?
Or the one with Keira Knightley.
Both very good.
Which one was like the BBC miniseries?
That was
Colin
the Colin
Firth.
Firth one. That was back in the 90s,
Yeah.
I think.
That one is better.
Pre-Bridget Jones.
I
Yeah.
saw the one with Keira Knightley in theaters.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen that one, to be fair.
It's not
But
as good as the
I
other
can
one.
tell you that the Colin Firth one is better without seeing the other one.
No need to see the other one.
I got some massive stink eye from people because it was me and a buddy with 2 of our female friends. It was not a date. It was just taking them to the movie. But me and him were cracking
You went
up
for
laughing.
tea beforehand?
We were just cracking up laughing during parts of it towards the end, and we were getting stink eye from our female friends and from the mom and her daughters down the road who were also there watching
You're
it,
such
and we're
rude
just
boys.
it was the ending, and she's saying Mr. Darcy, and he's Mrs. Darcy, and it was they just kept going back and forth. And we're just cracking up.
The ending
this is the
of
most
that
ridiculous.
version is exactly that. Yeah. It's a little brutal.
We were done.
But yeah, Pride and Prejudice, great book. Read it if you haven't. Okay, so I think we.
You know, that's
The
something
best-
else you can do in Bath. Is a
Is
Jane
the
Austen
Jane Austen
walking
tour.
tour. Did I
Yeah.
tell you about that, or did you find it on your
No,
own?
I knew about it. I feel like it's in all of the tourist recommendations and stuff.
Yeah.
And they have Jane Austen dress up, costume stuff.
We did
around
not
Bath
do
and
that.
stuff.
We did the ghost tour.
We did do the
did
ghost tour.
You're not Mr. and Mrs. Darcy.
I'm more of a Mr. Bennett.
I
let's be
like Jane
honest.
Austen novels. So.
Yeah.
The best
Yeah.
character in Pride and Prejudice was Mr. Bennett, the dad.
Because he was so jaded from having all those daughters.
He's just so
Yep.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
His sense of humor is phenomenal.
Anyway, so we've been on here for a little while, and I think we're going to have to sign off.
We gotta get to
and
cooking.
get
Eat dinner.
to cooking. Yeah. So I hope you guys all
She's
had
cooking
just as
today.
much fun as we did with talking to Catherine today and hearing all about expat life and her recommendations around London, and catching up with you guys just about what our plans look like this coming week and into the next few weeks. So thanks everybody for tuning in. It was really fun. If you haven't already liked this and had a lot of fun with us, definitely press that like button down below and subscribe if you haven't. We're going to be doing this every Sunday, so come back next Sunday. Same time, 4 p.m. British time, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central. And yeah, hope everybody had a great time. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Happy travels. Bye.